Adjustment meeting, August 10th, 2026. Lisa, could we have an opening statement, please?
I hereby declare this meeting of the Howell Township Zoning Board to be open, adequate notice having been given pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act in the following manner. First, on December 16th, 2025, a copy of said notice was emailed to the Asbury Park Press and the Star Ledger. Second, on December 16th, 2025, a copy of said notice was hand-delivered to the clerk of the Township of Howell. Third, on December 16th, 2025, said notice was posted in the office of the Zoning Board and on the bulletin board in the Howell Township Municipal Building, 4567 Route 9, Howell Township, New Jersey. In accordance with the Fire Prevention Code and for your safety, please be advised that this facility is designed with 2 emergency exits at the front and rear of the meeting room. Furthermore, smoking is not permitted in the municipal building. Please take note that this meeting is being videotaped for possible future broadcast on Howell Township TV 77. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Could we have a roll call?
Mr. Barillo.
Here.
Mr. Cantor.
In attendance.
Mr. Hughes.
Here.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Here.
Mr. Orozco is excused. Mr. Ryan.
Present.
Ms. Scottson.
Here.
Mr. Kavarakis.
Here.
Chairman Mertens.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Could everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence for our troops serving abroad and here? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Andy, could you swear in our professionals?
Do you swear the testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
State your names for the record.
Charles Cunliffe.
Jennifer Beam.
You're a professional in your sport.
Sounds good. Thank you, Andy. We have any minutes, Lisa?
No minutes.
Correspondence?
Yes, Sal Alfieri would like to carry the application for BA 2503 Hannah Group. He's here in the audience to address the board.
Good evening, Sal.
Good evening, everyone. Hannah was third on the agenda. We knew we weren't going to get reached, so I think we looked at September 28th as the new date.
There's nothing on September 28th
Yeah,
yet.
so if we can have that date and have the announcement made so the board takes jurisdiction and carries it to that date, and of course, we'd grant the board any extension that would be required, if one's required.
Okay, well, then we have to move the expiration date.
Fine. So
It's
we'll,
August 31st.
all right, so we'll extend it through the end of October, just in case. You need a letter, or just on the record is good enough?
Well, I would confirm it with a letter.
Okay, we'll follow up with a letter and grant the extension through the end of October.
Now, does that have to be renoticed?
So we're going to ask that you take jurisdiction and carry it to that date,
Okay.
if possible.
Okay. Okay. Anybody here for case number BA 25-03, Hannah Group, ABL LLC, will be carried to September 28th with no further notice, with an expiration date of October 31st, 2026. Okay. No other resolutions, Lisa?
No, there are none.
Okay. Okay, first application before the board tonight, case number BA 22-15A, ZS Mills 1 LLC, here for an extension of time. The application, ZS Mill LLC, is applicant and owner seeking a 1-year extension of time on their amended preliminary and final site plan and bulk variance and design waiver approval granted in resolution memorialized on July 14th, 2025, on the premise known as Block 25, Lot 54-03, 54.06, 54.10, Route 9 North, and Lanes Mill Road. Good evening.
Good evening. John Sardo from the law firm Giordano, Haller, and Ciesla on behalf of the applicant related to this request of extension of time. We have been going through resolution compliance. this week, or perhaps even today, we submitted a compliance response to T&M's second resolution review letter addressing the remaining outstanding points. We've received letter of no interest from the county. I guess what I'm saying is, it's in process, there's not much outstanding, and we're hoping to complete and wrap up resolution compliance within the next weeks to months, and we're seeking this request for
Okay.
a one-year extension.
Charlie, Jen, can you comment on this?
So, what were the responses? Because I don't know that we received that yet. Was that submitted through Eileen?
Yeah, it would have been, I think, that they uploaded it, that they electronically sent it, maybe some point today, and it was probably just hand-delivered, so I'm not surprised that you wouldn't have seen it yet. But I think there was really only a handful of questions. They were, some of the items was to put the masonry trash enclosures throughout the site. That's just one that's jumping out of my mind. But your letter might have been 2 pages long with 5 points, and they were just responding to those points.
Okay. Yeah, I don't take exception to it. The applicant did agree to put refuse enclosures, all the old ones, throughout the site to make them all masonry. I think they also had to get a letter of compliance from Jen's office regarding the architecturals, which I think is in the works. The only 2 other items were resolving, there was a property maintenance issue, I think, with like in front of the theater and like trucks parking and things like that. And then also, under the prior approval, they agreed to make a contribution to like signalization, not signalization improvements, but some intersection improvements at Maxim Southern and Lanes Mill Road, which that's obviously continuing, and the applicant's going to make that contribution as a...
Yeah, I think that in the response letter, we say the contribution will be made prior to seeking permits, but we're acknowledging that we owe that. And then as far as the, I believe this stuff with the theater's been addressed, the parking and long-term issues, but I mean, I think monitoring that situation, because the vacant space is an ongoing concern, so I
Okay.
think everybody will be pleased when that.
becomes habitable and...
Yeah, correct.
There's a presence there. I don't have any issue. I think they're making progress. They're getting close. It's a big change to that building, so, those things don't happen overnight, but they are making progress. I have no issue with it.
You good, Jen?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr.
Act-
Chairman?
Yeah.
This is the movie theater we're talking about, right? The movie theater, right?
That's one of the buildings that was.
Office building that's going to go in there?
So there's still some stuff that I've read, social media or paper, that there's still people getting inside. What are we doing to correct that? Because I think last we left off, might have been the applications for ZS kind of mushed together. But the last we left off, that there was going to be something proactively done to prevent that from happening. So where are we with that? Why are people still getting in?
Well, vandalism, we can't help that kids are going and breaking windows and going in, but admittedly, I saw the same social media post, and I think there's been,
I mean, there is concern that it's happening frequently.
so that was one of the issues, and I think that's become more of the issue right now. The other issue is the
I mean, is it a matter of maybe
parking and-
getting like security to go around once in a while? I mean, I don't know if you have a security firm on a retainer or somebody who can drive around once in a while just to check things out.
I can talk to the applicant and see what they have and report back through Mr. Conliffe, and,
I mean, just for everybody's safety, I think it really does need to be seriously addressed.
Maybe just piggybacking on what Nick's saying, when construction should approximately start? I know you got a lot to do, but that will certainly tamp it down once activity's going on.
yeah, I think wrapping up this last round of compliance comments, I think we still have outside agency with MRSA, the sewer authority, which is pending, if not submitted or pending right now. And after that, my understanding is that we'll be hoping to pull permits shortly after that.
Certainly.
And especially, as far as this application involved 2 of the buildings. There's the Escape Theater, and then there was the one, we called it Building B2. It's next to the climb zone, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
And so as far as the phasing one, the theater is the one that's getting addressed first.
What about simply an alarm, at least to, notify when there is a break-in or any vandalism or anything? I mean, I imagine it probably has an alarm already. Is it just not being used, or?
The applicant's not here, I have to ask, but I would,
Yeah, well,
Should help a lot.
Go ahead.
That should mitigate the situation quite a bit.
Yeah, I think I agree with my colleagues. I think we need to please express to the applicant that we'd like to see that taken care of. And then, I don't have an issue with the time extension, so.
yeah, I'm happy to obviously convey the
So maybe
messages,
we
and I
can
can
kind
report back.
of be on the same page. He can help us, and we're okay with the extension. Okay.
Yep, and I will do my best to report back, assuming the board acts favorably before the resolution would be adopted.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would just note, right, it's a private property or private structure, so regardless of whether there's an application that gets filed and gets approved, it's the applicant's property, and they're responsible to make sure that it's safe and that it's not, vandal-proof and things like that. So it's private property, and it's their responsibility irrespective of the application.
Yeah.
So, it's in their best interest to make sure that their site is safe, because they're ultimately liable if something happens to someone or something.
Okay. Anything else? Any other? Okay. This time, I would like to take a motion from the board.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to grant the extension of time.
Mr. Hughes with the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Borelli with the second. Roll call.
Mr. Barillo?
Yes.
Mr. Cantor?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Scottson?
Yes.
Chairman Mertens?
Yes.
Motion carries. Extension of time is granted.
Thank you very much
Okay,
for your
thank
time.
you. Okay, the next case is case number BA 24-13, Shimshon Langston, FKA as Edward Wiseman, for an extension of time. Applicant Shimshon Langston as applicant and owner seeking a one-year extension of time on their bulk variance approval to construct a single-family dwelling with associated site improvements on an undersized lot granted in resolution memorialized on July 9th, 2025.
Good
Good
evening,
evening.
Mr. Chair, members of the board. Salvatore Alfieri on behalf of the applicant. As the board chair indicated, this single-family home variance approval was June of 2025, granted to the predecessor entitled, not the current owner. I wasn't involved in the original application, recently got involved to perfect the approval. There was a pretty significant delay in getting health department approval, which was finally obtained in March. When we got involved, which was after March, we determined that the resolution of approval was never recorded. We have since recorded it. There's an easement that's required that we provided to the board professionals. Charlie had some comments on the description, which our engineer is working on. And I'm told last week we made a resolution compliance submission. I haven't seen it yet. Our engineer's here if you have questions of him, but, so we're seeking the year just to try, and we're hoping to get it done much sooner because this gentleman wants to build his house, but just to be safe.
Okay.
So what Mr. Alfieri put on the record, I don't take any exception to it. We did get a submission from their site engineer within the last week. We did, prior to that, also receive some of the documents for the site triangle and some right-of-way dedication, provided some comments. So since Sal's gotten involved, they've definitely have taken the step forward, and the board may recall there was a prior approval on this site for a home on an undersized lot that never got perfected. So it appears at least that this applicant is, or the now current owner is taking the steps to perfect the approval in accordance with the resolution and our review letter. So I don't take exception at this point.
Okay. Jen, you're good? Good. 2 words out of you tonight. That's pretty good so far. Okay, anybody from the board, any questions? Okay. Do I have a motion for extension of time for this application?
I'll approval for the extension
Anne
of time.
Marie with the motion,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Hughes. Roll call.
Mr. Barillo?
Yes.
Mr. Cantor?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Scottson?
Yes.
Chairman Mertens?
Yes.
Motion carries, extension of time granted.
Thank
Okay,
you.
We'll see you soon.
Yes, very good.
Okay,
Are we still going that way?
2 down.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So I am advised that the item D on the agenda, Joseph Howe Properties LLC,
Yeah.
has everyone present for the application, and some of the people for the Bennett Road Associates are not here, so if that's accurate, Sal?
Well, they're
We could flip the,
Yeah, they're both here, but the Howell application, we were here about 2 weeks ago or so and spent a couple hours and then decided to leave because we didn't get reached. The other application has never been here, so since they spent a couple hours waiting to get reached, we figured it would be the courteous thing to do to take them first.
Okay.
if that's okay with the board, that's just, yeah.
So, again, we're swapping D with C? Okay. Okay. Okay, next application, case number BA 25-21, J. Hague Properties LLC for use variance, bulk variance, and preliminary and final site plans. Application to J. Hague Property LLC is applicant and owner seeking approval to construct a 8,400 square foot commercial property on existing lot 24.01, 6,720 square feet storage and 1,680 square feet office space, as well as convert the existing single-family dwelling on Lot 24 to an office space. The applicant is also seeking to construct other site improvements such as site ingress, egress, drive, a rear stone storage area, stormwater management infrastructure, on-site parking on premise known as Block 49, Lot 24 and 24.01, 207 Squonkam Road. This application was originally scheduled to be heard on July 27th, 2026, when it was carried to tonight, August 10th, 26, with no further notice.
Thank you.
Okay, good evening, Sal.
Good evening again, Salvatore Alfieri on behalf of the applicant. This is a site plan and use variance application for the applicant. There's currently 2 single-family homes on the property. The proposal is to demolish one and build a new structure, which we'll discuss momentarily, and then to convert the other house into an office for the crane rental business that the applicant currently runs, not on-site, but off-site. There'll be a workshop, offices, outdoor storage of some of their equipment. There's no work that occurs on-site. It's simply their yard to put the equipment in and their office use. We received conditional approval from the county in July of this year, subject to a right-of-way dedication, which we'll be working on. And then we have reports from Charlie, Shari, and Jennifer, which we'll be prepared to discuss. There was also a letter of interpretation issued by the DEP in January of this year, so so wetlands have been identified and are reflected on the plan. 3 witnesses we have our civil engineer, we have a representative of the applicant, and then our planner, Christine Cafone, and we're going to start with our engineer.
Okay, well, let's get everybody sworn in.
Were you sworn in the previous?
No, we didn't
Oh,
start.
this one had.
No.
Oh, got it.
Oh, and we have a traffic engineer, I forgot all about him, sorry.
Oh, don't forget him.
What happened to the first application?
You got to pay
What about our
attention.
client? Get on.
Is he on this one too?
Yeah. John, this isn't Bennett.
John, I want to clear up the camera. Yeah. Traffic engineer's not here for this one.
Okay.
All right,
For
John.
10E.
Go ahead.
Do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Yes.
State your names for the record, spell your last.
Anthony Donatello, Donatiello. I am the civil engineer. My license is in good standing.
Christine Cafone, Cofone, licensed professional planner.
John Haugh, H-A-U-G-H. I'm the owner.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anthony, we're going to, for the record, would you place your credentials on the record in a little more detail, please?
Yes, I've been working as a civil engineer.
That's a mic.
Okay. I didn't know that, thank you. I have been working in the engineering field since 2018. I officially got my license last year. But I've been at Lindstrom, Diesner & Carr since 2021 doing engineering design.
Okay, have you testified before any boards before?
Yes.
Okay, we accept your credentials, thank you.
Thank you. And I see we have a copy of the site plan that's posted on the board. Would you run through for the board where this property is located and what's currently located on the property?
Yeah, so the property is located, it's got two addresses, 207 and 209 Squonkam Road. It's also Lakewood Farmingdale Road, and it's county route. So as you can see, it's actually at the intersection with Hurley Pond Road there. Right where that dashed yellow line is, that's our site. And as Mr. Alfieri kind of explained a little bit before, we are demoing one of the existing houses that's on the property. If we could bring up the site plan or the demolition plan. So on the bottom lot there's existing dwellings, an existing garage, an existing shed structure there. All of those structures are being removed as part of this. That's where our proposed building is going. The structures at the top lot, we're proposing to keep those structures. So the structures at the top up here, we are keeping those, and then you've got the garage here, there's a shed, and then this dwelling, that's all being removed.
And the
Okay.
structure you're keeping on the upper lot, let's say, you're converting it from a residence to an office, correct? Okay, thank you.
So let's move on to the site plan and provide testimony describing in more detail now what's being proposed exactly.
As is being said, so the existing structure up here it is a dwelling right now. It is being converted to office space solely. And then the garage that's there is going to stay a garage. And then we're proposing the building down here. That building is 8,400 square feet total. It will have about 1,680 square feet of office space, and then the rest of it, 6,720 square feet, will be storage for the crane vehicles.
Would you describe, why don't we start with stormwater management? How are you proposing to address that?
Yeah, so there is, if you could bring up the grading exhibit that we sent this morning.
So we have a new exhibit which was marked,
It's 825, I believe.
yes, 825.
So we've been working with Mr. Cunliffe on the stormwater comments that he had. And so what we're doing is, on the front here, there's porous pavement. And then there's storm pipes that goes to a basin all in the back here. Now this on the side on the left, that's the current layout that was submitted to the board. With coordinating with Mr. Cunliffe, we've made some revisions, and this basin back here actually got a little bigger, as you can tell. So the storage area that was in the back of the property got reduced a little bit to make the basin larger, so that we could meet the state requirements for stormwater management on the site.
And I know you said you spoke to Mr. Cunliffe, but he does have technical comments contained within his report, and you will agree, if this were approved, to address those comments?
And I don't want to speak for Mr. Cunliffe, but based on our coordination, is my understanding we basically addressed all of his comments with this new layout that would be submitted to the board.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll just add, I don't take exception to any of the representation that was made. They did submit electronic copies last week of this revised grading layout, and then also their stormwater management report for our review. We took a look at that, and 99.9% of our drainage comments have been addressed with that resubmission. There was just two minor things. We want to have a plug in the outlet control structure. It's a large basin, and they're only storing 4 inches of water for a water quality storm, but we want to have something in there so that way if maintenance needs to be happen, they can pull the plug and let water flow out to fix it. And then obviously with all stormwater development, major site plans, they got to record the stormwater management by deed, and the property owner listed as responsible party. We had comments, there is a MRSA sewer easement line that runs along the northerly property line. It's not just an easement for future, it actually has a line in there. So they've revised their layout to move any of their permanent stormwater management infrastructure out of that easement. We spoke with MRSA and they were on board with that as well. The long and short of it is the basin got bigger and the gravel storage area got a little bit smaller. So everything other than that is essentially the same from the prior site plan. It's just their storage area got a little bit smaller, their gravel storage area for their operations.
Thank you.
Sure, a quick question about the porous pavement, Charlie. Was the retention basin made a little bit smaller in lieu of the porous pavement?
And I don't want to put words in their engineer's mouth, but the porous pavement is really just there to serve to meet the intent of the stormwater requirements about contributory drainage area. They can't just send everything. They actually have runoff coming from the right-of-way onto their site and to the basin in the back. So it does provide some water quality for the smallest storm event, some storage, but the bulk of the quantity control for volume and peak flows is happening in the back of the site, and that's why that basin got bigger. If the porous pavement was their only stormwater management system on the site, and it was being utilized for quantity control, I would be much more concerned about that being in their circulation aisles and things like that. It's really to meet contributory drainage area limits. You can't just send 4 acres, say, to a big basin in the back. You have to break it up and have no more than 2.5 acres, and then, you know.
Let me ask you a question this way. So if they didn't have the porous pavement, would they still be in compliance with stormwater management?
No, I think they would, and Mr. Donatello can probably testify to
So
this.
they're relying on that to a certain extent? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. What?
The question I have about the porous pavement is, do you have a maintenance plan or a maintenance schedule set up for it?
There's a operation maintenance manual that was prepared, but,
Now, we would do that as a condition of
right,
approval.
right. And then that's the document that Charlie referred to that would have to get recorded in the county clerk's office so that any future owner knows exactly what has to get done. And he'll have to approve that plan.
Yeah, and that deed also will have a restriction that they can't take it out, they can't seal coat it, they can't just pave over top of it. But I just want to stress, we've seen sites where they put in porous pavement and then they put 3 feet of stone underneath it, and that's their only storage. When that fails, there's no way of knowing it until someone gets flooded. That's really, they're providing it just to comply with the intent of the contributory drainage areas in the rule.
It's just that if it's being factored in to stormwater management, there has to be regular maintenance, because from what I understand, what that porous pavement is, it gets clogged, it gets filled, and over time, it loses its ability to drain completely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in this case, if it does get clogged, it'll still go to the basin at the back with the way the site is graded.
So there's a fail-safe there, if it does get clogged, it'll end up in the basin
Yeah.
regardless.
And what I will add is where you do see a lot of these failing early on in the life is because from construction-related activity, they put the porous pavement in and they're still building the site, and then there's all these vehicles coming in and out, and then it just gets silted up. So if, you know, it wouldn't be an unreasonable condition to say that prior to like a CO for the site, they have to do some kind of maintenance on the porous pavement to show that it's cleaning and functioning properly. I think that would be a reasonable condition to ask of the applicant.
And part of the issue is that I'm familiar with that intersection. There's been some fairly well-known flooding in that area, and that, I think some of it's been addressed in the last couple of years, but for a while it was pretty bad there and some heavier storms.
Yeah, so in our case, as Mr. Conlon was saying, everything, the road is higher than our site, So everything that comes from the road, it goes through our site, and we are, except for the driveway we're bringing up, but everything around the driveway we have brought down, so like the water will still come off the road into our site.
And is the grade towards the rear of the property?
Yes.
The entire,
Yes.
all the way back, okay.
Yeah, and to add that if their site was higher than the road, they would probably maybe not necessarily need the porous pavement to meet the contributory drainage area requirements. It's because they're taking on flows from the county that they have to put the porous pavement in there, so it's a little bit of a give and take.
Sounds like you got it covered, so good.
I kind of have a question, kind of piggybacking on that. It might be operations, but what are you storing on the gravel and the porous
Yeah,
pavement?
the next witness will get
Okay.
into more detail.
Thank you.
And can we go back to the site plan, please?
Thank you, John. Some
So-
good points you made.
Anthony, can you show the board with the pointer where the wetland line is so that the board's aware of it?
This line over here, it goes down, that's the wetlands line. And then there's a buffer from the wetlands line of 50 feet that goes out here.
All right, so the basin and everything are outside the buffer.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's talk about lighting and landscaping.
Yeah, can you bring that plan up? Yes, so, and we've coordinated with Cherry Lot on this buffer, and so there's a lot of landscaping in the buffer to meet the buffer requirements all along the property here and the side to this residential property and along the front. And then there's some landscaping back here where the parking spaces are because this is the bar over here. I want to make sure any lighting, like if cars are out there at night, their headlights won't be an issue with the bar.
And what about parking lot lighting? Where is that proposed?
There's a lighting plan. So we have, most of their use is really going to be around these buildings. So we have the lighting on the buildings here. Back here where they're storing the property, they don't necessarily need that lighting back there because that's their uses. And he'll describe, or the next expert will describe the hours of operation and the use a little better, but they don't need the lighting really in the back of the property, but they need the lighting in the front here, which is why we provide lighting in the front, and it doesn't necessarily, I believe we have a design waiver actually for the lighting because we have no lighting in the back here.
We're not providing EV parking spaces, correct? Because we're under the threshold that's required?
Yes, they require if you have 25 or more parking spaces, then you are required to do EV parking spaces. We have less than 25 spaces and are not required to do them.
The applicant also would agree as a condition of approval to consolidate the two lots, correct? So it'll be one tax lot if this were approved and constructed?
Yes.
Sidewalks, we're not proposing sidewalks, is that correct? Along the
We are not.
frontage? And we're offering that, if the board approves that, to make the payment in lieu of installation of sidewalks. We'll defer to your professionals on that point.
We don't really have a lot of sidewalk along this area. And it's a pretty high-speed road.
They're needed somewhere else, so.
Yeah, I think that getting a contribution in this particular instance that the town could use in a more appropriate location might be the way to go here.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Just a couple follow-up engineering questions, Mr. Chair. Next is, you mentioned the waivers, but can you run through those waivers in a little more detail, please?
Yeah. Mr. Cunliffe lists a lot of them in his report. So I'll bring up get his report. There are a couple variances and several design waivers. We discussed a few with the lighting and with the sidewalks just now. There are some existing variances though. The existing garage and the existing house at the top are within the side setback. These are existing nonconformities that we are maintaining as part of this.
And I'm assuming that, I see Christina's here, so she's going to get up and talk about the use variance, and you're going to talk about how these are subsumed within the use variance, correct, Madam?
Yes.
I would also just state that, yes, they are existing and they are within the side setback, but this application is bringing that use more into conformance, getting rid of the residential and making it into an office.
Okay.
And there's, go ahead, finish with the waivers and variances, sorry.
Well, there's also architectural plans that'll be talked about.
Yeah, our
Mr.
plan-
Chair, I'll
We'll
just,
talk about the architectural plans.
yeah, I'll jump in. I think they got to work that out with Jen, and it's just for the proposed
Yes, and
structure.
we've been going back and forth, we're almost there. They've committed to working with my office and to making sure that it does meet the intent that we've, set a pretty good standard here, elsewhere. So they are agreeable to working with my office should the board act in the affirmative.
Okay.
So there's the lighting, right, because they don't have it in the rear storage area, so we need to hear from the applicant on hours of operation and how that's going to work. And then there's also the pavement section. So they have the porous pavement up front, which doesn't have a base course, but then also there's a gravel storage area in the back, which is just a gravel surfacing. Any of our parking areas, pavement areas are typically supposed to be paved, an asphalt paved section, so they're asking for that relief. So I think that also goes in hand with the operations. Let's hear what kind of materials, equipment, vehicles are anticipated to go back there to hear that. We have seen like contractors, storage yards and things like that. I'm not saying that's what this is. We have seen some get a waiver for that, depending on operations and things like that. It sounds like most of the public and employee operations are at the front of the site where there's at least porous pavement, but let's hear the operations testimony from the applicant in that regard.
Well, I guess my concern would be with the lighting, depending on what's being stored back there, it would be kind of a hazard not to have lighting back there unless there's a compelling reason why they don't need it.
All right, so yeah, after you hear the operational testimony, we'll obviously work with the board on whatever you think is appropriate.
Okay.
Anything else other than the fact that when they ask you, I referred to 3 professional reports, planner, landscape, and engineering. Would you agree as a condition of approval to address all those reports to the satisfaction of the board professionals?
There's still a couple of design waivers on
All right,
those
so-
that we got to discuss.
cut through the waivers if you'd like.
Yeah, it's cut through.
So the first is, the area
Answer
between
my
the parking
question,
and the
yes.
building shall be landscaped with foundation plantings. Sherry has already indicated that she would be okay with strict compliance with that waiver for the submission, for the installation of the plants between the parking and the building, but that those plants be planted elsewhere on the site so that it's not like they're not providing it, they're just not providing it in an area that won't survive. And then second, they're underparked, or you have 7 parking spaces proposed and 15 are required. I'm assuming that we're going to hear from the applicant on the operation of the site and why, how many employees and how that works, and they wouldn't have designed the site with just that many parking spaces if he didn't have a good idea that that was going to work. But those are the other 2 waivers that are necessary.
If I can, I'd like to add something on the parking that she mentioned. So there is this existing garage. It's a 3-car garage. So we show 7 spaces here, but then you could also fit 3 more spaces in there.
Guys,
And
let's be a little realistic. You and I both know that customers coming here are not going to park in a garage. And that garage is going to be full of stuff. So I think that providing testimony to justify the 7 spaces on the surface is probably your best bet.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
We have that addressed. So I'd asked you a question about compliance with all the technical comments in the reports, and would you agree that as a condition of approval, you'll do that?
yes.
Okay. It's all the engineering we have to do.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'll just, a couple quick bullet points. So the first one, we had a comment, anytime we see the gravel, we're concerned about it creeping in the future. The revised stormwater management plan actually has a retaining wall along the backside of the gravel to the stormwater basin. So it gives them more stormwater storage, but it also kind of creates that physical barrier where they're not going to expand into the back of the site. The second thing I want to touch about is they did have a phasing plan that was shown on the plans, and my understanding, and speaking with their engineer, was this had to do with So maybe they could start construction and operate in like the office space while they're building the rest of the site, but I think we need to hear exactly how that's going to be phased. We don't want a site where someone's moving in and then they don't build a gravel storage area, the stormwater basin, and they're like operating from a site for 3 years, under an approval that they haven't perfected. So we want to hear about that, and that might overlap with with the applicant. Regarding the site access, I think that also comes down to the operational testimony regarding how many employees, what kind of coming and going. We are on a county road, so they obviously are going to have to get county approval. Mr. Donatel, can you just provide us some highlights on where you are with the county? I know they wanted potentially a turn lane, but you couldn't physically provide same because of right-of-way limitations with DEP property across the street.
Right, on July 27th, we received conditional approval of this plan, subject only to the right-of-way dedication and a performance bond.
Yeah, so
Is
there,
that correct?
Yes.
there is some shoulder widening along your frontage, but it's not like they're making you widen to put in a turn lane or anything like that, because there's limitations on right-of-way across the street. That couldn't be obtained because of Green Acres encumbrance and everything like that, right?
Yeah, it's a Alair State Park is across the street.
And then the last comment that I have is, right, we talked about there's a MRSA sewer line that runs along the north side of the property, so can you let us know where you're at? This isn't going to be on well and septic, right? It's going to be on sewer and public water?
So the well and the septic have to be abandoned and get approval from the appropriate agencies like the health department for those abandonments. And then like he said, there's a sewer main in the sewer easement that runs across the top up here. We submitted to Howell Utilities. We haven't heard anything back from them yet, but we can't go to the Regional Sewerage Authority until we have approval from Howell Utilities.
Okay, so, but the representation is, we're not going to be coming back after the fact to try to keep the septic system and keep the well?
No,
Those are gonna-
sorry for interrupting, but based on the information we've been given to this point, there is a connection already tapped off of the main. They have to get the information to tell us exactly where it is from the Regional Sewerage Authority.
All right. And I think that's just important, right, because there's a stormwater basin, there's also the porous pavement, we don't want a septic system, and then all that kind of stuff commingling, so I think that's an important distinction for the board, so that's all I have for the
So
engineer.
can you discuss the phasing, Anthony? There's a phasing plan? What sheet is it?
Yeah, sheet 4 of our site plans is the phasing plan. So the first phase that's on there, they'll have like maybe a construction fence along the front that will install to block people from seeing while they're doing work. They'll have to install, the temporary construction fence here is the lines right there. And then we'll have to do all the soil erosion measures that the soil erosion district requires of us will have to be installed at that time. And then the structures that we talked about that, like this, the dwelling here, the shed, and then the garage at the back, those are all going to get demoed as part of phase 1. This would also include construction of the drainage system, so it would also be done as part of phase 1. So you see the basin back here, and the porous pavement area would be in here. And then we've also, as Mr. Cunliffe noted, we're widening the county road at the request of the county. So that's all part of phase 1. And this will include parking, and there's a little bit of sidewalk that we're doing up here by the existing building that'll all get put in. We'd also, as part of that, install the landscape buffer in phase 1 here and up here.
So as part of phase 1, when that's all completed, is the applicant looking to start to use the office?
That is my understanding.
Okay. Just want the board to be clear, that's what they're asking. Then phase, and you could comment on it when you're ready, but phase 2 would be, what would happen on phase 2?
So phase 2 is over here. The proposed building would have a concrete vehicle storage pad at the back. And then we also have a stone storage yard, a portion of it, being constructed as part of phase 2. And then phase 3 is where, I'm sorry, as part of phase 2, it would be include the building concrete pad. Phase 3 is when we construct the building and install the site lighting, as they're all, as you showed you, the site lighting is all on the buildings.
Guys, this seems like an awful lot of phases for an 8,000 square foot building. A lot of phases. And by the way, phase 3 is missing from your exhibit,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think,
it goes
think it
to
makes
phase
sense.
5, but there's no phase 3.
I think it makes sense to, at least for phase 1, I think it's clear, doing all those, the landscape, all those improvements, and being allowed to use the office, because all the infrastructure will be installed for the office. And then we could ask the client if the rest of it could be part of phase 2. We'll see what his position is on that.
And I would recommend that there be some, like, time limit associated with completion, like occupancy of the
Yeah.
office should be a
Yeah.
TCO with a time limit on it, because we have too many properties here where we allow that, and then the balance of the site never comes to fruition.
That's fine. Well, the applicant, we could have him cover that a little bit.
Yeah, because
Thank you.
our planner is correct. It has been lapsed a lot.
So, Mr. Alfieri, is it the client's contention that the whole site will be operational during all phases?
Well, let's let him get up, because right now, we're going to condense those phases, so
Understood,
we'll have
but
a better answer.
they're going to be actively utilizing in the Phase 1 area while it's being,
No, they're going to have to complete all the phase 1 improvements before they can get a
Before.
TCO on the office.
okay.
Right, Jen? That's what,
Yeah, I would think so.
and the basin's part of phase 1.
All of the stormwater management systems were included in phase 1.
That's all we have.
Okay. You guys are good?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is we're going to need to see an updated plan condensing the phases.
Yeah.
Just as residential compliance. And then, I don't know, Jen, is there any suggestion on like the duration? Or should we wait to hear from the applicant?
wait to hear from the applicant to see what the.
Just the duration from TCO on the office till when they have to get full
Okay.
CO and complete phase 2. I think we just need to
Yeah,
set that
we'll
for the
put that
record.
with Anybody else from the board?
I got a question for Charlie. And you might have mentioned it already, and maybe I missed it, but in Ms. Spiro's report, there's grading going into the buffer. That's like a relief that they would need?
Yeah, so along the south side of the proposed building down here, the site, and the engineer can testify to it, has water table within 3 to 4 feet. So they are raising the back of the site to be able to build the stormwater management infrastructure to have the acceptable separation from seasonal high water table. So by doing that, they have some, and I'll go to the grading exhibit. They have some grading on the south side of the building and of the basin that is technically within the 50-foot buffer. And so technically, they need relief because usually the only disturbance in the buffer is the driveway, utilities, and then if you're grading to create the berming for the buffer, then that wouldn't require relief, but they're grading to build out the site. What I would point to the board is the landscaping plan, and if the requirement is that this is all going to be done under phase 1, I think that is a substantial trade-off for that relief. If the water table was 8 feet, then they probably wouldn't have to raise the site the way that they're doing, and, you know, they could probably make things work a lot easier without having to disturb the buffer. You know, it's just the unique characteristic of the soils on the site there.
Okay, thank you.
I'd just say I would agree with him.
Okay,
Better agree.
I think we're all good. Thank you so much.
John? Thank you. Don't go. Don't leave. Okay. Let me have my pointer. John, you could say, you've been sworn in. Can you, and I know you said you're one of the owners. Can you just, again, explain to the board what your relationship is with the property owner and the applicant?
Sure. I am the property owner and the applicant. It's done through my LLC, J Hall Properties, just to keep my business separated. That's all.
And would you describe, I said at the beginning, it's a crane rental business? That's a simple version of what the business is. Can you give a little more details?
Yeah, so we're a family-owned, operated crane rental company. We've been in business since 1998. Basically, what we do is somebody calls up, they request a crane, they give us the information for the job sites. We then dispatch a crane with anything that it needs, and it gets to the job site and performs the work there.
Okay, so what would the hours of operation be at this location?
So our office hours are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. And then any kind of other work as far as the trucks going in and out is generally between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m.
So you heard a question of, and we'll talk about trucks and everything else, but you heard a question about the not providing site lighting in the rear gravel area. Is there a reason why you believe lighting is not necessary in that area?
Yeah, anything that's back there would be for long-term storage, or it's nothing that we would need in the middle of the night that somebody calls up and, hey, can you go grab this part for the crane and get it to the job site right now? It just doesn't happen. Everything with us is scheduled ahead of time, and we work everything out that way.
So can you talk a little bit about what would be stored on that gravel area?
Sure, it would mainly be crane parts and accessories, like pieces of the boom, different hook blocks, different counterweight pieces, on trailers sometimes. And then sometimes we also get deliveries of like air conditioning units for like a building. If it's not ready yet, like our customer will have it delivered to us. We'll store it for a couple weeks, and then we put it on our tractor trailer and bring it to the site to set it.
So there's no mechanical work or fluids or anything that would be stored on the gravel area?
No, nothing like that over there.
And speaking of mechanical work, you also would stipulate that no mechanical work of any type would take place on site, is that correct?
Correct. Our main yard is in a different location that we have a mechanic at and everything. This is just storage, basically.
And there was a question about the air conditioning units or whatever else you're storing there. What would the maximum height be of any of those types of items?
5 feet.
Okay. Is there any retail activity?
There's no retail. We're not open to the public. Nobody comes and visits us.
So that you saw that, how many employees would you have at most on-site at peak times?
Peak time would be 6.
All right, and so are you comfortable that you have adequate parking for your operation?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And you indicate you never have visitors?
There's never a visitor, no.
So how do people find you and order these cranes?
Everything is all done now on Google and phone calls and emails with us.
You mentioned deliveries. Can you describe for the board in a little more detail what type of deliveries you get and what type of vehicles make the deliveries and how frequently they occur?
Sure. So a lot of the air conditioning units, they come on, they're called hot shot trucks. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. It's basically a pickup truck with like a 40-foot trailer on the back of it. They schedule us with at least 48 hours ahead of time, and then we always tell them between the hours of 8 and 2. And then when they come on the truck, we unload them, put them on the ground or put them on a trailer, and then we deliver it to the job site.
Now, the cranes themselves, how many would be stored on site at the maximum, and where would they be stored?
Cranes will be 2 cranes. I would like to store them inside the building.
The new building?
The new building, yes.
All right, so they'll fit in that new building?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there no cranes would be stored outside, just the other equipment type that you described earlier?
Correct.
Only 2 cranes?
I will also have like 2 tractors and 2 flatbeds there also.
But you only have 2 cranes in your entire business, or you?
No, I have more, but they're all up north in my North Jersey location.
All right, so this site would only have the 2?
Yeah, at most, yeah.
If you're planning on growing this business and going beyond 2, now's the time to kind of think big, because 2 is going to wind up in the resolution, and if, obviously, if the board acts in the affirmative, I mean, you're starting the business here in Howell, we want you to be as successful as possible.
Yeah.
So if you think maybe 5 cranes will be like your max business, then you should say that so that it gets in the resolution.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see, I'm also saying there's going to be other trucks there. Crane-wise, though, we're not that busy down here. There's not like we're building.
Well, you could be.
might get busy.
That could be, yeah.
So,
Why don't you
I mean,
double it
roll the
to 4?
dice right now.
Okay, if I'm allowed to have 4 cranes, that would be great.
I would say maybe at this point a max of 5.
Okay, if that's allowed, then yes, I would love to be able to park 5 cranes there if it ever comes a need.
Now, what about garbage, refuse? We're proposing a refuse area. What type of garbage is generated by your operation that would take place at this site?
It would be office-wise, just us in the office creating garbage.
Okay.
So the stuff that you get delivered, like the AC units, they don't come packed in something?
No, they're pretty good size. Like they're like maybe like 10 foot long. They're not like in a box or anything.
There's no box or packing materials that they come in?
No. Generally, we use a forklift to unload them or a crane, and there's nothing that is inside usually.
Okay.
It's like train size, like.
Yeah, train,
rooftop units?
carrier, York, all those big, like on the roof of
Which
here.
ones do they put like on the top of the hospital to run like the hospital?
Yeah. And like a strip mall has them, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And you were telling me beforehand about work you're doing at the airport. Just to give an example of what that is, can you describe for the board what that project is?
So we got contacted through the FAA to replace the radar tower at Newark Airport. And they're making a big deal out of it. The Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, is going to be there. They're going to be taking pictures of our cranes, and he's actually going to get in the crane. They want to do a whole photo shoot with him and everything, so it's a lot of fun. But we do big projects like that. We do big heavy industrial, big commercial stuff. We go in, we build, there's a cell tower over there. We worked on that several times, right next door at the fire department. That's the kind of, work that we do.
Now, we're not proposing a freestanding sign just yet, correct?
Correct.
But we would request that if we decide to put a freestanding sign, as long as we meet the ordinance size, we'd like to be able to do that.
Setback and size?
Yeah, setback and size is fine. And then my last question is phasing. You saw the elaborate phasing plan. How can we simplify that? Phase one, you understand that you do all the site work, and then you could potentially have the ability to open your office use,
Okay.
correct?
Yes.
Then the next question is, can you finish the rest of the site as part of phase two?
All at the same time. I don't see why not. I'm going to be self-financing this, so it's going to be coming out of my pocket, so it's not like I have $1 million just sitting there ready to go at the bank. So I would like some time to get it done, but yeah, I could live with that.
Okay, so
That's
the question
before
is...
your FAA contract.
Unfortunately, government goes to the lowest bidder, so you know how that goes.
I'm only joking.
Sal, would a year be enough time
Do
to
you
get
need
the
a
balance
year,
of
or
the
do you
work
need
done?
more? From the time you get your temporary CO in the office to the time to commence the work, how's commencement first? To commence phase two, how much time do you
I
need?
don't know, I would have given you a year for commencement.
That's what I'm saying. So would a year be enough for commencement?
What does that mean?
Starting phase two, starting the...
So a year, so we said go ahead, we have a year to do phase one, and then we could start phase two?
No, when phase one is done,
Okay.
Then the
a
clock
year-
starts.
Then the clock starts, okay. Could I ask for longer? Could I ask for 18 months?
not to, I would say that's probably pushing it for commencement. That would be good for completion.
Okay.
And it's from you, the time you get the CO for the office.
Yeah,
That's
so
going
then,
to take you time.
and then that'll be phase two, and then but they want to do everything after that.
Unless you
so-
want, unless you think there's a reason you need to break it into three phases.
Not
We're just-
really, at that point, phase one is all the site work.
Right.
That's a lot of the work. The next thing is just saving up money for
The building.
The building and the foundation, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess, we could try to do it in a year.
Okay, and if not, we'll have to come back and explain to the board.
I think that's fair.
So,
Okay.
so you're going to complete phase one, the stormwater, the new building, the concrete pad, and the landscaping. That'll be TCO for the office space. And then within a year from that, you'll start phase two, and then you have a year from then to complete phase two? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I
And the
think-
concrete pad be part of phase two?
Yes.
Yeah, for the building, so the foundation for the building, the concrete pad, right?
You're talking about the apron to get into the building? Or
No, I mean, the apron would become,
How about this? How about, if you guys are comfortable, how about we work out a solid phasing schedule if the board acts in the affirmative, understanding what the ultimate goal is to not have this languish indefinitely, but to make sure it's actually realistic, because I don't want him having to come back multiple times for a variety of reasons. And then if Charlie's office is comfortable with the phasing, then he would sign off on it as resolution compliance.
I'm good with it, with board members.
Mr. Chairman, I'm comfortable with extending the amount of time given, and with the understanding that he's self-funding.
Yeah.
I don't want to put undue constraints on him where
That's
he's
why
not going to be able to do
That's why I
it.
don't want him to have to say something like off the cuff right at this exact second. that it's
Yeah.
easier to work with.
That's good, because we don't want him to get to the point where we're forcing him to do something and he says, can't do it.
Money, yeah, 100%.
But it's 2 phases, not 4 or 5.
Okay.
It's 2.
Two phases.
You're going to work
When
with them
phase
on
one is established, we all agree to phase one. So
It's
it's
just
really
the
the
timing
timing
of
of phase
phase
two.
two.
Exactly. That's fine.
So everybody's good?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's all we have of John, if you have any questions of him.
I have
That's
one question,
circulation.
and I'm not really, so, let's say somebody calls you up and says, like, I need a crane wherever, right? Do you send an actual operator with the crane, or you just send the equipment?
No, we send an operator
Okay.
with it, yeah.
Because I was like, I can't just call up and order a crane, right?
Oh, what do you expect?
I mean, that'd be fun, but I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, no,
When's your birthday?
Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up next
Air
weekend.
conditioners off the roof of this building.
But, so when you say you're sending the equipment, you're sending an actual person with it? to do
Correct,
it?
yeah, there's always at least one person, if not more, that goes, depending on the size of the crane, goes with it,
All
yeah.
right, thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, a couple of clarifications. So the cranes, so it could what is the typical size? Is this stuff we're doing like high-rise construction where there's a lot of truss work that you have to like take apart and store in the yard? Or is it like cranes for drainage structures? What's the size of these type of things?
All the above. I do a lot of the drainage structures that you see, bridge abutments. We build the big ship-to-shore cranes that are in the Port Newark that unload the containers.
Wow.
So we have everything from 15-ton to 300-ton capacity.
Yeah, so it's not just one self-compact unit that just does drainage structures. You've got up to high-rises where you have all the truss work you have to dismantle, store in the yard, and then ship it to the site, put it together to actually operate the crane, right?
Correct. When you get to the larger cranes, they have multiple counterweights that have to go with it, multiple sections of the boom, which is why we really don't need that storage area to be lit up like we were saying before, because it's going to sit there until somebody calls and it's planned out. So that's why we need a larger space just to put this stuff when we don't need it.
And then as far as the operators of those cranes, are they employees of your company, or is there like a third-party licensed operator for those? How does that work?
They're all employed by me.
Okay, and that's within the 5 employees, or are those separate and they only go to job sites once stuff is delivered?
No, so whoever's taking that crane out will come pick that crane up and then bring it to the job site, and then they'll meet everybody else there to help, assemble it and put it together.
But they're not on site regularly, right?
Correct, yeah, you would have one guy pick up the crane and he would leave.
And he could be on a job site for a month, 2 months?
Exactly, yeah,
Gotcha.
hopefully.
All right, no, that's fine. I just
Yeah.
wanted the board to know that that's subsumed in your number of users. It's not.
Yeah, that's why it's so low, because all our work is performed somewhere else. It's not like we have a whole crew of guys that have to come pick up one crane. One guy drives it himself.
Gotcha.
So,
Do you ever have it where like a, say, site contractor can rent a crane and operate it themselves, or is that
No.
okay?
yeah, it's a completely different type of operation.
All right, and then the 2 other questions. So you said there was tractors, so are we talking about like farm tractors? Are we talking about tractor trailers?
Yeah, like a tractor, like a Peterbilt tractor.
And those are just for low boys to haul?
Haul the crane pieces and that stuff,
So
yeah.
it's not enclosed enclosed trailers where we're gonna be like storing, or the back area is not gonna become a tractor trailer storage area?
Correct, no, it won't be, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, right now, I think I own 4 trailers, just for hauling the stuff. We load it onto our trailer that we need, and then it goes to the job site.
Okay, and then the last question I have is for fire access and circulation. So, obviously, it's easy at the front because that can all be striped as fire lanes with the porous pavement, but once you come into the gravel in the back, I think we want to have a representation that there's going to be like a clear 30-foot swath from the site entrance to the back of the site. And I know they have a schematic here showing future storage area, but I think we want to have this specifically called out for, area to remain clear for emergency access. And then the only other thing that I would say is if a fire truck needs to get in here and has to get out of the site, maybe a condition that there shall be no overnight parking or no parking on the apron here, so that way a fire truck can do a K-turn out of this site
Yeah.
without having to back out onto the county road there? Is
Yeah,
that
understood.
reasonable?
Yeah, that's kind of what our plan was with that as well, is this way our own trucks can get in and out of the shop and everything.
And that 30-foot swath in the back is also acceptable so the truck can get back?
Yeah, so that'll remain gravel going into that?
Yeah.
With no
Yeah.
storage on it?
With stuff on it.
Yeah, oh, yeah, with no stuff on it, yeah, of course, yeah, that'd be fine.
So going back to my lighting question, given the potential of a fire truck having to get back there, safety, security of your items that are there, what was the thought with regard to not putting lights back there? Because to me, it kind of sounds like you need them to some degree.
the parts that are back there, the parts that are back there. Yeah, that's okay. The parts that are back there weigh a couple thousand pounds, so not like I'm not worried about kids coming off and taking it, that type of thing. As far as any kind of truck staff, I mean, everything has lights on it. You know, I understand what you're saying too. Kind of like the chance of it. You know, to me, I'm not that concerned about it, but I understand where you're coming from.
Have you contemplated a fence around the yard?
Definitely along the north side, no, is it the north? Where Mulligan's is, I would like to have a fence there to keep anybody from looking in, anybody from wandering in also. I would like to have that up to where the existing house is. There is an existing fence there, but it's dilapidated, so I would like to put it back.
I mean, I would recommend, typically, we allow a 6-foot-high solid fence along the side and the rear. For security purposes, I would take no exception if you wanted to put an 8-foot fence.
Okay.
Just to, you know, maybe discourage some late night.
Yeah.
Frivolity.
We just don't know what's going to happen in Mulligan's next
But,
week.
you know, what I would suggest is that, Anthony, perhaps you come up with a plan to show the fence on like any subsequent submission, and then you provide a detail. You know, I think like a 6-foot-high solid vinyl fence is probably going to provide you the most
Yeah.
screening.
Okay.
8 feet high.
8
So
foot.
that would be,
So you're
fair.
suggesting 8 feet?
I am, for
Okay,
security
okay.
purposes, yes, and I recognize that it would be a variance from our typical 6 feet, but I feel like, number one, to screen the attractive nuisance of this equipment and also prevent any kind of opportunity for somebody, I think you could take it to the back, like, you know, I don't know if it could attach to the basin in some way, and then you don't have to put it along the basin and then along the other property line, kind of tie into the buildings in some way, but
Is this going right on the property line on the outside, or are we putting a little buffer between the fence?
I think that we could probably work out, I mean, the landscaping is pretty significant. I would suggest that, Anthony, you attempt to place it where you think would be the least disturbance of your implementation of your plan, and submit it to Charlie and me to review.
Yeah.
But like the goal is, I don't care if it's on the property line, especially on the south where you have all that landscaping, or you want to put it on the inside of that landscaping.
Okay.
Then you probably won't even see it, but it will still provide the security you want, but it's up to you.
Now, there is a current fence there on my property line with Northeast Remsco. Could I just continue it from their fence? Because that looks like to be where my property line is, and then just
That's
go
fine.
forward.
That's fine. So I would
Okay.
just suggest when you're doing any revisions, assuming that the board acts in the affirmative, you include that fence into the
And just to confirm, just along the bar and, you said up to Remsco?
Yeah, because the back, you have the basin, which has the retaining wall, so I don't necessarily think you're gonna wind up getting, and there's a pretty sizable amount of distance there, in the back of the property. So I would take this to two, figure out a way to tie them in, and then I would just do the two property lines.
I would think the neighbors want it too.
Yeah, I mean, you just wanna make sure your stuff is secure. I
Yeah.
agree, people are not gonna walk off of it, but you also don't need people playing on it.
No,
either.
no, yeah.
That's my,
Yeah,
that was my
then
point.
you're getting
Yeah.
into liability. Yeah, I agree.
I got you. I got you.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Anything else from anybody for the applicant?
One quick question, Mr. Hart. On the 6 employees that'll be on site, are those all office employees?
No, so it'll be myself and my wife, we run the office, and then the most we would have would be 4 people there to pick up a crane, one person there to pick up a crane, one person there to help unload a truck, another person picking up a truck to take it out, so 6 people total would be max.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but generally, we would have just two of us on site, for the 8 to 4 o'clock.
For the most part?
Yeah.
Got it. All right, thank you.
So, and I would just want to add, so I think the reason that they're here before the board is because it's not being considered a contractor storage yard, it's being considered like a retail use because they rent their equipment and operator to a third party. So this isn't we're not going to have like George Harms or like Earl Asphalt moving into this, like, it's very niche to the applicant's proposed use. And the last question I have is, do you have any intent in the future to have like freight containers for storage back there or anything like that?
Nothing that I could foresee right now, no.
Okay, all right, that's all I have. We have some issues with other sites stacking storage containers, so that's
Yeah.
why.
I think
Anne Marie, to address your lighting comment, because we really kind of danced over it a little bit, maybe introducing a couple motion sensing lights in the back there that like maybe can be mounted on the back of the building
That's a great idea.
and shine into the yard. So like if a fire truck had to get back there or something, the light would kick on, but it's not on if there's no motion.
Okay, all right, that's not bad.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Okay, since it looks like we're all good.
One more, Christine?
Yeah.
Are they in agreement on that?
Christine, maybe 5 minutes, your time frame?
Oh,
Or
sure,
less.
that sounds luxurious. Let's go for 3.5.
Okay, we'll hold off.
You're sworn, Christine.
Yes.
You're good to go.
Okay.
And she's a professional planner, her credentials have been accepted previously,
It
she's
was-
still
yeah,
licensed.
she's
and
been
still
here,
in good standing.
Yes, my licenses are in good
Yeah,
standing.
we accept her qualifications.
I'm going to get a
Yeah.
rent bill.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so good evening.
This is the 3-minute version.
I'm going to give you the 3-minute version. The reason we're here is because crane rentals are not a permitted use in the SED1 zone. So while there are 26 enumerated permitted uses in that zone, many of which, almost all of which, are far more intensive than what is proposed by the applicant, we are not a permitted use in the zone. And as Ms. Beam indicated earlier, we are actually eliminating a pre-existing non-conforming use because the residential use is not permitted either. So the board has to find, to grant this D1 use variance, that the site is particularly suited. It doesn't have to be uniquely suited to this, and we don't have to rule out other sites, but this is a site that is 1.5 acres larger than what the underlying zone requires, and it also has excellent regional highway access to Route 134, 138, and 195. So it certainly is particularly suited for this crane rental use. The board can grant the variance if you find that one or more purposes of the municipal land use law would be advanced by the grant of the application. I think criteria G, which talks about sufficient space in appropriate locations, is advanced by this application. I think there's certainly sufficient space, and it is an appropriate location as I demonstrated with the particular suitability. You also have to find that there's no substantial detriment on the zone plan or the public good. As far as the zone plan, I already told you about the permitted uses list. That's very extensive. But the stated purpose of the SED zone in Howell, the SED1 zone, is to provide support for a variety of agricultural and economic development opportunities in areas of the township where resources and transportation infrastructure are readily available. Sounds like it was written for the subject property, so certainly aligned with the stated purpose of the SED1 zone, so no substantial detriment there. As far as the public good, we are providing an extensive, as you can see on the screen, all those little circles represent the plantings that are going to be installed on the subject property. In addition to that, you just heard earlier that we agreed as a condition to install an 8-foot fence, which I think can be granted as a C2, a better zoning alternative, advancing purpose I of the municipal land use law, and assisting the applicant in meeting their burden of proof with their negative criteria and no negative impact on the zone plan. Lastly, I'll close with, in the April 2026 reexamination report, there was a specific goal identified in that plan to encourage new businesses and grow the economy of Howell. So clearly the SED zone is a commercial zone, but it just didn't contemplate this use. However, I think this use is aligned with that goal. So statutorily, I believe we meet our burden of proof for the grant of the use variance, and I think I've hit on all the relief required. I'm here to answer any questions.
And there's some C variance, there's an existing,
I think your engineer talked about
Yeah.
their pre-existing,
Right.
for the existing
And they
house
would be
and the existing
subsumed.
garage are
And
just
they
a
would be
little,
subsumed.
a little close to like the Mulligan's lot line.
right.
But they're not changing that with this application.
And they'll
That
all be
situation won't
subsumed
change.
into the D.
They're
Correct.
subsumed into the D, and certainly with the landscaping that is being introduced onto the site, the formal landscaping plan, any impacts of those will be mitigated.
That's all we have from the plan.
Okay,
I'm good.
nope,
Nope.
nope.
I think this is, I mean, just looking at the landscaping proposed alone is a substantial improvement. And it's a great new business. It's not super intense in terms of like people and what have you. And I think it's in the right area of town.
Okay. You're almost a little over 4 minutes.
Okay.
Just count.
Yeah.
I was a little repetitive on the negative criteria, but I was making my point.
Anyway, since there's no more questions, I have a motion to open the public.
Motion to open the public.
Anne Marie with the motion. Second by Mr. Ryan, all in favor?
Aye.
The
Chairman has opened the hearing up for members of the public to ask questions or comment on this application. If you'd like to speak, please come up to the podium. You will need to provide your name and address, and you will be sworn in.
Check 1, 2. Yep.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
You swear the testimony you'll give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, I know
My
you said
name
it,
is-
but spell your last name, please.
Perry Mastrola, Mastrola, 250 Bennett Road.
Thank you, sir.
Just a couple of quick things on this one. You guys did a good job with the overview. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, professionals. I hope everybody's doing well. I heard testimony about that stone area in the back, not having cranes or equipment. That should go in the resolution, because you'll have no control. If your code enforcement has to go there for any reason, and that's not in the resolution, he don't have no fight there. So that means he could park big cranes, hydraulic equipment, various items on that stone, and I don't see any plan for the hydraulic oils or anything being mediated into that detention basin.
Yeah, we agree that all the testimony that was offered will be incorporated in the resolution.
Yes, I would just say that.
Do we know mechanical work at the location?
No mechanical work.
Right, because I've seen it before. I have a property near me where they park all these cranes and hydraulic equipment right on the wetlands, and nobody does anything because it's not in the resolution, so there you go.
So Sal, the representation that all, like, the actual crane vehicular
he
with
said they were gonna
hydraulics
be
will be
in the
stored
building.
inside the new building, and then tractor trailers will be parked inside the new buildings. The
That's right.
flatbeds can be outside, Sal?
Well, I don't know about tractor trailers in the new building. They're not going to fit cranes and tractor trailers.
Yeah, I mean, everything's.
You got to come up, John.
Yeah.
Right, so, I mean, I would just, you
And
guys
then-
are on that.
And then just to be clear
In the
too, right,
resolution.
so the gravel doesn't go all the way up to the wetlands and a buffer, there's a stormwater management basin, so that creates a significant barrier for them to, like, creep in the site.
Right, I mean, it's a good fit for the property, as everybody said. It's just you have to be careful of a couple of things like
So
that.
let's just finish their thought. The tractor trailers themselves, do they go into the building with the cranes? or-
Yeah, so the parking of them, anything overnight would be inside, but I would need to be able to use my gravel area with the crane to unload and load pieces and, so I
So
need,
the storage would be inside?
yeah, any kind of overnight storage would be inside, or parked on cement, like how everybody wants. So,
Right, and congratulations, I'm glad you're expanding your business, that's cool.
yeah, thank you.
But we have to watch it. These are big hydraulic pieces of equipment. They do leak. I don't care how good you keep them. The lighting that was talked about, yeah, try to minimize it. We have infrared video now and everything, so there's really, for safety or security, you don't need a lot of lights. And that was, Ms. Scottson brought that up. That's a good thing. And that's all I had, really. Oh, how do you get the cranes into that building? Is it a ramp or is it
So
flush to the
the
ground?
building will be at ground level.
That's ground level.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
The only thing that I just want you to put on the record is that the height of the building will be 45 feet max.
Oh, yeah, it's going to conform to the ordinance.
That's 45, no more than 45
Yes,
feet? Okay.
no more than 45.
Anybody else? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close? Motion to close, public. Second, by Anne Marie. There's a motion by, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Sal, anything
Now,
further?
just based upon the testimony and all the conditions we stipulated to, we'd request that the board grant the approvals.
Just one last comment. I believe there is a gate across the main site driveway, so they're going to have to provide a Knox locks for the fire department. So I think that's in the review memo. I just wanted to
Okay,
make
that's a
mention
good
of it.
point. Thanks for bringing that up. Unless there's nothing else from anybody, entertain a motion at this time.
Well, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion. Seems like everything's been covered here. We have a good list of all the conditions, and looks like a good fit for this property, so I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Mr. Hughes, with the motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Cantor with the second.
Mr. Barillo?
Yes.
Mr. Cantor?
Excuse me.
Don't be choking on this now, Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Scottson?
Welcome to Howell, yes.
Chairman Mertens.
It's an excellent application, and I wish you all the best. Yes, as well.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Application is approved.
I think at this time, we will take a recess.
That would be a good idea.
Okay, Lisa, we're going to recess.
All right, the board will take a short recess.
Lisa, we are back.
The board will reconvene.
Okay, I got it. Okay, our next application is case number BA 14-09, 8-3 Bennett Road Associates LLC for a use variance and preliminary and final site plan. Application of Bennett Road Associates LLC is applicants and owners seeking approval to reconstruct a portion of the existing warehouse building, construct a new 20,000 square foot shop building on the northwesterly portion of the site, construct 32 new asphalt parking spaces and 25 new concrete commercial parking spaces near the existing commercial site. They're also seeking to construct two 16,000 square foot flex space buildings in the southerly portion of the property with associated parking, stormwater management, water main extension, landscaping, lighting, signage, and other auxiliary improvements throughout the site on premise known as Block 168, Lot 26, 210 Bennett Road. This application was originally scheduled to be heard on July 13th, 2026, when it was carried to tonight, August 10th, 2026, with no further notice, expiration August 25th, 2026.
Thank you. Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Salvatore Alfieri on behalf of the applicant. This is preliminary and final site plan and use variance approval. This property's been before this board a few times for the current user, Vortex, which is a national, multinational company. They occupy the only building that's on site. It's a pipelining business. When the project was originally approved, the applicant repurposed an old existing building that was on site to move this tenant in. There was a portion of that building, 7,450 square feet of it, that was in such poor condition that they demoed it. And what started this process was that the applicant wanted to rebuild that 7,450 square feet because this tenant has an immediate need for that space back. But since it was demolished, the zoning officer ruled that you have to come back for a use variance, which they were planning to do for the balance of the site. But so our goal for phase one of this project, and Brian will get into it momentarily, is to get that small addition constructed, started. We would not seek a CO on that until we address, and we would bond for it. There's some, you heard Charlie describe creeping that took place, and he wants to avoid creeping at the gravel in the prior application. Some creeping took place here that we would have to restore, so we would bond for that, and we'll talk about that in more detail. Phase two of the project would be the two flex buildings up front, and then phase three would be the 20,000 square foot building to the rear. Again, we'll get into that in more detail. We needed a use variance when we were here originally. We still need a use variance. The uses that we're proposing for this site, because we do not want to come back every time we get a tenant for a building, and we'll get our planner, we'll talk about that in more detail, but we're looking to get the SED, most of the SED1 uses approved. There are others like breweries and things like that, which recreation, which would not function on a site like this, but we'll get into that in more detail as well. We are also, as part of this project, extending the public water to the site. Currently, there's a well. There's also a septic that will have to be upgraded, but we will be extending water to the site. We have reports from your engineer, health official, fire official, environmental commission, shade tree commission, landscaping, and planner that we are prepared to address. And we have several witnesses. I know you want to swear them all in at the same time, so we'll bring them up.
Okay.
you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
State your names for the record, spell your last, please.
Brian Murphy, M-U-R-P-H-Y.
John Ray, REA.
Christine Cofone, Cofone.
Michael Testa, T-E-S-T-A.
Witnesses are sworn. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Murphy, would you place, we're seeking to have you qualified as a professional engineer. Would you place your credentials on the record, please?
Correct. Licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. My license is valid. I've been before this board and roughly 100 other boards.
We
throughout
accept
the
your
state.
credentials, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And Brian, mounted or on the screen is the aerial exhibit. Can you run through for the board where this property is located and what the current site improvement conditions are?
Sure. So this is a Google Earth aerial shot of the property in Exhibit 1. It's 17 and a half acres in the RE6 zone, also known as 210 Bennett Road. To the north of the site, the line running across, east to west, is a railroad track that exists. We have a solar field and a warehouse also beyond that on the other side of the railroad tracks. To our east, we have a single-family home, and then up by the entrance on either side of our entrance, to the east, we have a paving company and some storage there. To the west, we have warehousing, slight junkyard, and some mining going on that location. And then there's a additional farm property to the further west.
And across the street?
And across the street, we have some single-family and farm property as well.
Okay, and then the aerial shows an area that's not wooded. Would
Sure.
you describe what that is?
So you can see that the access comes off of Bennett Road currently. That's the only access in and out of the site. It runs back to the existing building, which is where Vortex is today and is proposed to remain. We have some storage in the rear of that as well for the equipment, Vortex's trucks and vehicles, and some material there as well. You can see the dark hatched area in the rear is the addition, or the area that was torn down, that was in disrepair. I pointed out along the top of that. Along that dark area across the top of the building, that is the area that was torn down. We're basically going to build on those exact foundation locations. So we're putting back what was there. It's just that it was in poor disrepair, so it's, we're going to add that onto the building.
And then you heard me mention the creeping term. Can you
Yep.
just point out to the board where the area is that has to be restored?
Sure. So there was an area out to the west corner of the property. This area was additionally cleared, and then there was a little clearing along the north side here as well, so that's going to need some restoration in those areas.
And we'll show that on the plan when we get to the plan.
Sure.
Okay, Brian,
Yep.
so you want to go to the site plan next?
Yeah, please.
Okay, good.
So I'll get into the phasing in a moment, but we're going to basically proposing kind of really delineate the parking stalls, those parking stalls behind the Vortex building. They're all for the Vortex work vehicles, the larger trucks. And then we have a pad in the rear, that's for pipe and different material that they use out on site. And we have trash enclosures back there as well. We have 2 containers that are currently on site that would remain, that they're going to go in that location. And then we have a drainage basin that we're going to construct. This little hatched area or lighter green area is actually where the discharge pipe is that goes down to the stream from the basin. The other building is a 20,000 square foot warehouse, shop, and wet out building. We'll explain what wet out means in a moment. That building is going in the northwest corner of the property, and obviously some associated parking with that as well, and a concrete pad at the doorway entrance is a door that goes into the building at that location as well. Up along the front of the property, we're going to actually shift the entrance because right now it's closer to the property line. So we're going to kick that entrance over to the west and basically repave the entrance, put parking on either side of it, and put 2 flex buildings, each 16,000 square feet. You'll notice these parking stalls are deeper. They're 25 feet. The idea behind that is when we have, a lot of the contractors and different people who rent these spaces have box trucks or larger vans, so we don't want them crowding into the fire lane or into the entry road. So we'd rather have the extra depth. If they have pickup trucks, then they're just going to have extra room in the stall, but we'd rather be on the safe side and have some deeper parking stalls. We have porous pavement under the parking stalls. We have underground recharge that the roofs go into, and then we have 2 basins on either side of the entrance that are going to handle the stormwater for the front section of the property for these 2 flex spaces.
Can you explain to the board why we're shifting the driveway to the left?
Yeah, basically to kick that over so we can keep the 50-foot buffer that's along this eastern part of the property entrance. Right now, that doesn't exist. So we're going to be able to kick that over, and you can see we're restoring a substantial amount of that buffer that doesn't really have much of landscaping or buffering there. So we'll supplement that pretty substantially in that area since there's not many trees anyway. We're keeping the existing trees along the frontage and along the west side. There's a septic on the property currently in this location, in this grass area. We're going to expand that septic out for the additional uses. And I'll get into the phasing on how we're going to basically phase everything. But I'll just point out that this area for now, up against the property to the west, we're going to be providing some evergreen landscaping there as well, and I'll get into the timing of that shortly. And this area was kind of cleared out a little bit, so we're going to basically restore that as well with plantings.
Okay, could you describe how this stormwater management system will operate in the various phases?
Sure. Would you bring up the phasing plan, please? There we go. These colors were a little different, but the darker yellow, I'll say, is phase 1. So that's the addition onto the back of the building. It's the stormwater basin that's on the north side of the property and the stormwater discharge. And we're going to install that landscaping along the existing parking lot along the west side of the property. All as part of phase 1. And again, obviously we would bond for that because we're looking to move forward with that. And obviously we can't get a CO until that's constructed as part of the condition. Phase 2 is the darker orange or brown, and that's the change of the entrance road. It's the construction of the 2 flex buildings. We're also running the water line down Bennett Road. So basically all the properties along it will have the betterment of that as well. But we're going to be able to bring that water line down, and we're bringing that into the site because currently the site is all well. So for fire safety and for service, I think it's a better option to have it on water since it is available. It's not close, but it's not too far away either, so we're dragging that down. And phase 3 is basically that back warehouse shop wet out building and the associated parking with that.
So the drainage for phase 2, you mentioned there's 2 basins up front.
Yep.
And that alone services phase 2, or does some of it go back to the phase 1?
No, that phase 2, the drainage for phase 2 is only for phase 2. The basin that's in the rear that we're going to construct is going to serve both phase 1 and phase 3. So phase 3 really doesn't have much drainage associated with it. And there's a pipe that runs along the back of the building and down into the basin, so that's the only drainage really associated with phase 3.
So, and Brian, to clarify, so phase 1, that's going to be the stormwater to account for all this prior expansion that happened. So there's gravel and there's some activities going on there. So the applicant's seeking to continue to use that area, but the stormwater improvements are going to be sized for that being impervious and the future building and gravel and everything like that. So we shouldn't have a stormwater issue as long as this is properly sized while this is continuing to be used, right?
That's correct.
And I think for the boards, because this is going back probably 5 or 6 years now, and I think we might have some newer members. But the last time the applicant was here, they got an approval to basically put in a similar sized shop building here with gravel circulation around the perimeter of it. The access into the site was to remain as it was, and they got some approval to formalize some gravel parking along the west side. And at the time, there was a landscape contractor like operating without approvals out of the site, so they were putting a stormwater management basin in here, one, to accommodate, you know, the expansion that already happened, and then the future construction of a building and gravel, but also to legalize the parking and, you know, the use that was happening around the existing building there. So that's why we were pushing as part of this review process. This stormwater basin needs to be installed under Phase 1 because it's to capture historic activities that have already happened on the site. And, you know, we just don't want to have drainage issues to neighbors for this to continue, you know, as it is. The one big difference is the building addition along the north side of the building, that was previously to be demolished and made into parking. So all they're looking to do now is to rehabilitate that existing building footprint, and they're just pushing that parking to the north side of the footprint to remain. So it's very similar to what was presented last time. It's just that building addition that was originally supposed to be demolished and become parking, it's now to be fit out, rehabilitated, and then the parking's now to be right on the north side of that. I had some comments in my review letter regarding the stormwater management basin, and that needed to be sized to accommodate all the historic stuff that happened on the site. The stuff that's been there for 5 years, they can't just say it's been there for a long time. So, you know, we have all this runoff from, you know, it is what it is, you know, kind of thing. They have to go back to what it was previously and make sure they're meeting all the rate reductions. I've talked with Mr. Murphy. I'm confident that they can make the stormwater basin work with either the footprint that's there, or potentially the gravel pad may need to be smaller that they're proposing to make the basin bigger. Either one of those are acceptable. Obviously, if they expand beyond the footprint that they're showing right now, then that would be something that the board would need to see, you know, if you're inclined to act favorably tonight.
And when you say footprint, you mean the cleared area?
Correct. So you've got your area that you show here as a tree line. There is some tree clearing that occurred beyond this, so that would be something that either needs to be reforested now or just accounted for in Mr. Murphy's design. And like I said, their prior approval, this basin was a little bit bigger in footprint. This concrete pad was a little bit further south. This building, we'll call it addition, it's really just rehabbing what's there. That was previously to be demolished, and these parking spaces were supposed to line the building. So all they've done is they're now retaining that structure, rehabbing it, and then everything is kind of shifted northerly. Their limits up here are largely the same. It's just the basins got small and they reconfigured it, you know, to match their site layout. So as long as they can address the stormwater management without going further to the north as part of a condition of the board approval, I have no issue, and I'm confident Mr. Murphy can work that out with my office as a condition of approval.
And just so it's clear, that addition is for Vortex, the existing tenant. We're not putting another user there. That's for they need more space. That's primarily why we're doing it. And Brian, you heard the comments. You're comfortable making sure that Charlie's satisfied with the ultimate stormwater design of the entire project, but specifically the rear section?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about landscaping.
Sal, real quick, Ms. Murphy, can you go back to the different phases?
Sure.
The bottom one to the left, that is Phase 2.
Yes.
Now, wouldn't the drive-through going back to Vortex, wouldn't that be necessary in 1? Because you're shifting it, right? So you can put a buffer in there?
Correct.
Wouldn't that be part of Phase 1 as opposed, because I don't see what phase that should be in Phase 1.
Well, we're going to continue to use the existing driveway that's there today, servicing Vortex. So we're keeping that driveway servicing all the way back for the Vortex building as it does today.
And then when they do Phase 2 construction with the two front buildings, that's when they're going to construct the new driveway and then decommission the old.
Okay, so they'll keep the existing one, construct the other two, and then
Yes.
abandon it, and, okay.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to be
Demolish that.
clear.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so landscaping and lighting, Brian.
Yep. So landscaping, as I indicated, a lot of the landscaping buffers are existing vegetation, and we're keeping that. And it's actually pretty well buffered with the existing vegetation that's out there. So that's staying. Where it is light, we're adding substantially along that eastern entrance. We have some additional along that western side of the property as indicated here, and some additional replanting of evergreens on that northeast corner of the property. I'll get to it, but Ms. Spiro asked for to work with her for additional plantings along the buffer areas, along the residential area, and we would, of course, agree to do that.
Where is the residential one? Right to the right? Okay.
Yeah, there's a house down in the corner here, and there's one further up on the northeast corner, on the other side of the stream.
Yeah, and the property's in the ARE6, so technically they're required to have a perimeter buffer on all sides of the property.
Correct. And we've worked with Sherry numerous times, and I have no problem, obviously, following her direction. We're going to have a new sign at the entrance. Once we shift that over, there'll be a variance based on the size, because the ARE is pretty restrictive on sign size. And we're
How about the setback of the sign?
Yeah, setback is fine. It was only the size that required a variance. Also, regarding the parking, there's 56 stalls are required, 140 are provided on the entire site. We've spread them out to make sure that each use has enough parking. The Vortex use in the back, 35 stalls are required, and we have 52 back in that area. 27 are vehicle storage stalls along that back area behind the building, as we indicated. That's for their larger vehicles, for their dump trucks and other trucks that service the liners. The warehouse is required to have 4. We have 10 back in that area along the front of the warehouse. And then for the flex space, technically 17 are required. We have 78. Again, we don't know who the users or end users are going to be yet. Obviously, we don't have any tenants yet. So I've seen flex spaces that are underparked. It doesn't work out well. So we want to make sure that we have more than sufficient parking. And also, if they have company vehicles that are going to stay overnight and employees are coming in their cars, we want to have enough room for employees to park the car and pick up the work vehicle. So we have additional parking in that area, so that has sufficient parking, because there's nowhere else to go if you're short parking in this area.
What about EV parking spaces?
Yeah, so we comply with the EV parking for all the proposed stalls. The existing stalls don't count towards that, according to the rules. Basically anything over 25 parking stalls, you have to provide some EV parking, so we'll comply with that. Kind of went through the parking stall sizes. Hours of operation, Vortex is staying the same, 7:30 to 5. There's no change at all to that operation.
That's 7 days a week? Is it
5 days a week, sorry. Yep. There's a stockpile, so there's some sand and gravel that they have, that'll be back on that pad that I indicated. The yard is mostly used for pipe storage that they use as part of their business. And obviously they have dump trucks and vac trucks and liner trucks. All maintenance, as before, is done inside of the building. There's roughly 20 employees on site, and no customers come to the site as part of Vortex. The shop and wet out warehouse, again, pretty much the same hours. We probably pushed that to 7 p.m. 5 days a week. Employees, same Vortex employees are over there. And obviously, we have separate parking for that, so it can stand alone. And again, no customers will be coming there either. The wet out, the way what that is, basically, the liner comes like a big scarf, let's say, and then they run it through the resin, mix it with the resin, wet it out, and then it gets loaded onto the truck and goes out to the site. And then they basically put it in the site, it blows up inside of the pipe, and then it hardens. So it's basically creates a new pipe inside old pipes, rather than digging up roads and tearing apart infrastructure to put in a new pipe. So that's really what the function of the business.
So this warehouse is going to be used by Vortex only?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so it's so it's a warehouse shop and the wet out building. So it's going to function for all those uses.
What does that mean, wet out?
That's what I was explaining. So that it's basically putting that scarf through the resin, mixing it, so wetting it, and then it gets rolled back up again, put on the truck, and goes out to the site. And there's all different sizes depending on the size of the pipe that you're lining. So it's, it could be an 8-inch pipe, 12-inch pipe, 24-inch pipe. Some sites have combined sewers, so you can get, especially in the older cities, you can get very large size pipes. And then it's loaded back onto the trucks and out to the site.
So it's an on-demand, but they're not just wetting out the sock to put it,
No.
there's a time limit on it. It has to be prepared and then installed within a certain period, otherwise
Correct.
it cures and then it's.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's shot. So you're under the clock. You want to get it out to the site.
Is there a byproduct from that process?
Yeah, they can talk about what that is,
Okay.
but it's just the resin, and we can give you all the information on that. And that's what's happening now on site. It's just would be moving to some of that to this building. The flex warehouses, we'd be looking at 6 to 7 during the week, and probably some partial hours on Saturday. The flex could be one tenant per building or multiple tenants, just because one tenant may take up 2 units or 3 units or 1 unit or the whole building. We're not sure. And typically the customers don't come to these type uses. It's only employees, and they have a small office, and basically they're going out to sites or loading up at night and going out to sites. Delivery-wise, we're figuring box trucks for these type of uses. As indicated previously for the previous approval of Vortex, we do get tractor trailers back to Vortex occasionally, but generally it's their trucks that are rolling out of there. And the parking lot, as I indicated, is paved for the two front buildings, and we'll delineate the limits of that with curbing, so we'll know where that starts and ends, and where it goes to stone. We have to have some kind of curb there, otherwise it'll just destroy the edge of the pavement. We do have some waivers to go through. I'll go through the checklist waivers real quick. Item 14, National Resource Inventory. This was previously granted under the previous application because the site is already
Ryan, if you're
disturbed.
testifying, you're complete, right? You're testifying, you're complete.
Yes,
So,
okay, good with that.
Then, well, before you get to design waivers,
Yep.
refuse, how and where are we proposing refuse?
Sure. So we have 2 structures on either side of the flex building. So one up on this area, then the other one down at the lower end of the building. That's to service each one of these buildings. And then up by the Vortex buildings, these 2 square boxes are basically the trash enclosures for that area. And obviously private pickup, paid
And
by
what
the
enclosure
applicants.
material are we proposing?
Block,
Block.
to match the buildings.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, okay, so then we do have some design waivers.
We do. As I indicated, the 50-foot buffer around the property is required. We do have some existing infringements into that. The existing parking lot along the west side, that driveway that comes around the south side of Vortex is also within it currently, and the septic system that's above where the area of the flex buildings are is also within the 50-foot buffer. Existing, our proposed uses that would be in the 50-foot buffer, obviously we have the cut through of the access road, which is permitted, but we also have the stormwater discharge that's going to come out to the stream. We don't have an option on that. We have to do that, and we are going through getting DEP permits to have that discharge. And the septic system is going to be expanded to accommodate the additional uses.
So,
as
Brian,
well.
to go back to the stormwater outfall, so the last time the applicant was here, I think to try to circumvent having to go to DEP and everything like that, the the outfall basically just had a bubbler in there, right? Like outside of the regulatory limit?
Yeah, we did. There's two things that are coming in now where DEP requires you at the 2-year storm, you have to have some kind of discharge. They don't allow you to just recharge the whole thing anymore. So we have to have a discharge now. And elevation-wise, it doesn't function, so we have to have the discharge. And also, soils wouldn't allow us basically to discharge because it would come down through the woods and then down the bank into the stream, and it exceeds the slope for erosion according to the soils regulations. So the combination of both of them are necessitating the stormwater discharge.
So that's, it's mapped as the Ardena Brook that runs along the east side of the property there, and then it continues down to Bennett Road. There's a drainage crossing. So there's wetlands, there's a riparian zone associated with that, and then we also have our own stream corridor and stream corridor buffer. Our ordinance does have exceptions for stormwater outfalls being within the stream corridor and stream corridor buffer, so I don't take exception to that. When they were here last time, we weren't certainly trying to make them go to DEP because everyone knows how long that process can take. So this is something that was mandated by Freehold Soils. You have to show that the outfall is stable and it doesn't run down a steep slope. So as long as Brian, you've made application for the LOI and then also the general permit for the outfall within the wetlands, correct?
Yeah, the general permit is going to specify the LOI as part of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, so they're going to have to get that as a condition of any board approval. As long as they can procure that, I have no issue with the disturbance within the town stream corridor and stream corridor buffer.
Can I just go back to, Brian, did you testify that your drive aisle is in the buffer and that's permitted?
Sorry, go up a little bit, back to where it was. I'm talking about this aisle over here.
Right, I mean, it's not permitted.
No, it's not permitted.
It's existing, but what about the other side?
Over here, the parking lot on the west side is in it also.
Correct, but I think what you said on the record was that because it's part of your access drive, it's allowed. That's not how that works. It's just your driveway that's allowed.
No, that's why I'm seeking the waiver for it. Yeah.
Variance, it's a variance.
Variance, yeah.
Yes.
But Brian, the representation is the parking area on the west side of Vortex and the drive on the south. That's not more than the historical limits of what it was or per the prior approval, and those areas are going to be supplemented with landscaping, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
The other waiver is for foundation plantings between the building and the parking lot. Obviously, the parking lot wraps around the existing Vortex building, and the nature of the flex space, the parking lot basically comes right up to the walkway that runs across the front of the building. And we have roll-up doors for each unit, so obviously it rolls directly into those roll-up doors from the driveway stalls in front of it. So that we're not providing any foundation plantings in those areas.
So you also need relief for not providing any kind of bollard, which is required for any parking space that heads into a building.
Yes.
So there are no bollards associated with the parking lots that are up against those buildings.
Correct.
So the wheel stops are not enough in our ordinance. It's either a bollard, a big masonry planter, some kind of structural design into the building, something of that nature. I understand that there are areas where there's going to be the roll-up doors and you're going to have access, but when it's just a regular parking space, even if there's a man door, they should have bollards along those parking spaces that head onto the building.
All right, we can provide bollards.
Perfect.
Okay.
And handicap parking too, right?
Pardon?
Would they also need handicap parking?
Yeah, we have handicap stalls.
Okay.
Yep.
And just before you go on, Mr. Murphy, what's the width of the driveway area coming in on that new
30
section?
foot.
30 foot, and how depth are each parking spaces on both sides of that? Because they appear to all be equal.
Yeah, they're 25 feet deep.
Those are 25 feet.
Yeah,
And the driveway itself is 30.
it's 30.
All right, so we're looking at 80 foot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Light intensity, 0.5 is required. The parking lots all meet that. There's some areas that are a little less than 0.5, but all the main drive aisles and parking lots all meet that. There's just some fringe areas, especially up on that concrete pad where the storage area is, where it drops down to that. I can put another light over that if you want, but I don't think it's really necessary. It's really that northeast corner of the of the pad, that it's dropping down. I feel it's still a safe condition because all the drive aisles and parking areas are all well lit. It's really just that northeast corner. And beyond that, obviously it drops down once we get outside the drive aisles because we don't want any light spillage onto the adjacent properties. Curbing on parking lots, we have it along the front flex space areas. We don't have any in the back areas because, again, that's all stone, so we're not proposing any along those areas. Pavement section, again, since it's stone. Curb and sidewalk along Bennett Road. This was previously granted. We're still looking for it. There's no curb or sidewalk anywhere in the area to connect to, so I think it's probably better for the town to be able to put it somewhere where they'd rather have it rather than this location.
And on that point, assuming the board were to grant the waiver, I don't know if the applicant paid it once before as part of the original approval or not, so we just have to look into that.
Yeah.
If payment's going to be method.
Yeah. And loading stalls, so we don't have particular loading stalls. Basically, we're going to be able to pull into the buildings on the flex space areas. The loading areas, basically for the Vortex, they typically pull up along the side area here, and if they need be, that they'll pull it off with a forklift in that area and then out. It functions that way today, and we're proposing to keep it functioning that way. And that's it for waivers. Go into the letters. I'll go through T&M's letter of 8/7/26 first. I agree with all the items in the letter, engineering-wise. There's a couple planning and architecture comments that they'll address, but as far as engineering goes, I agree. There's a couple items that they were looking for comments on. On page 11, item 29, as I indicated, we'll provide the EV stalls, and they're not required for the existing stalls. Page 11, item 30, the parking area to the west, Vortex is existing. We've had no issues with the parking in there. The intensity and use of Vortex isn't changing in any way. We're just basically expanding out the storage area. Page 12, item 41B through E, as indicated, we've submitted the DEP for the necessary permits, and I agree with all the other comments in his letter. The Avakian letter, 7/10/26, they're really mostly planning comment letters, or planning and architect comments. The Artheon letter of 8/7/26, we agree to all of the comments to satisfy those. There's a Howell letter regarding water, 7/23/26, basically just saying it's New Jersey American's jurisdiction. The Howell sewer letter dated 7/23/26, again indicates that we're going to be on septic, so it doesn't really impact them. Howell shade tree, 6/30/26 letter, we agree to address that letter. Howell Farmers Committee, 3/5/26, they have no issues. Howell Environmental, 7/3/26, we agree with the changes to the landscaping that they're looking for. They wanted me to discuss the rank 2 species habitat. There are no T&E listed in this area at all, according to DEP, so most of the bad area is actually on the other side to the east, way further to the east. So there's no T&E in this area, so it's no different than any other yard in this area. The County Health Department, 11/20/25, again, it's regarding the septic, that we have to get a septic approval from them, which we agree with.
And fire. I don't know if you mentioned fire, February 17th.
I haven't seen that. We addressed, yeah, so it's the February 17th, 26 letter from fire. We agree to address all the comments in the fire letter also.
So Brian, to touch on that, so the 2 flex space buildings and the wet out shop, are those supposed to be fire suppressed, proposed to be fire suppressed?
I'll let the architect comment on that.
Okay. Because I know our ordinance used to say 360-degree circulation around buildings, but I know the fire code can allow certain things if there's fire suppression and things like that.
Yep.
And obviously, I think the last iteration of this site plan, there was a gravel circulation around that rear building, so, we'll want to hear from the architect about that. And then his comment, the fire official's comments about like there needed to be a hydrant on Bennett's Road, there needed to be various on-site hydrants, that'll all be addressed.
Not a problem.
Okay. Board of Health, so they had a comment that their records show that the existing septic system is underneath this parking area. Is that, what's the
No,
discrepancy?
that was the old septic system. We got one approved and built that's in that southwest corner where we're proposing to expand it. Their records are wrong because I have their approval for that. And so when we respond back, we'll be providing their approval to them.
And then they had a comment about like there needing to be a TWA flow determination to make sure that it's under the threshold of what an actual TW, so it's 2,000 gallons per day for the.
For the whole site.
Yeah, so that'll be done?
Yep.
Okay. And then obviously we talked about the freehold soils with the outfall and that's
Yep.
all lapsed so that once you get your DEP permit, you're gonna get an updated soils for the site
Sure.
as a
And
whole.
county approval, we still need that as well.
We talked about the stormwater basin in the back of the site for phase 1 and 3. The flex space building, I had some technical comments, and I know we've been talking offline about that. So if there's a need for an additional run-up pipe or the underground storage to be expanded, that'll be worked out as a condition of approval.
We'll get it to your satisfaction.
All right. Regarding the discharge for the basin at the front of the site, so there's obviously a site next door that's got a driveway that's serviced from Bennett's Road. Can you talk about the existing drainage patterns from the site, the outfall, whether you anticipate any impact from the outfall to the neighbor's driveway?
Sure. Could you just pan down a little bit to that area? So there's a low area kind of here in this location on the east side of the entrance. And basically from roughly where the pavement ends down to this area, it all drains down to that point. Then once it fills up, it would overflow. We have a discharge roughly at this location and goes to that, which drains to that point where it drains now. We're reducing the flows as required by the DEP and BMP requirements. So we meet all those conditions of reducing the flow. So we comply, and it'll still be going to that point as it does today.
So there is this relative low point, enough
Yeah.
water builds up and then it'll flow over the driveway and go to Bennett's Road and won't
Correct.
cause any icing issue or anything like
No.
that? Okay. Regarding the parking stalls, just a clarification, so for the flex building, I think the ones on the east side are all 25 feet. The
Yes.
ones on the west side might be 28 feet, but those ones, you don't have curb you can overhang, there's a curb stop, so is that why they're a little
Yeah.
bit longer?
Yep.
Okay. We talked about the outside agency approvals, we talked about the septic, we talked about the water. Let's see if I have anything else. The last thing I have is, so there's like a little bit of a, just want to clarify this. So you have the phase 1, which is this yellow hatching here, which is seeming to show that everything here is getting built under phase 1. And then there's separate callouts on your rendering and your site plan that say they're going to be constructed in phase 2. So can you clarify that for us?
Yeah, we'll do everything in phase 1 in phase 1.
Okay, so anything that's shown on the colorized exhibit will get done under
Correct.
phase 1? Okay, and then for those 2 dumpster areas, those are bin blocks?
Yeah.
Bin block enclosures?
In that location, yes.
All right, so there'll be some stockpile material that I think was consistent with what was approved last time?
Exactly. Same material as last time, sand, gravel, that kind of thing.
And the dumpsters, they'll be in that, they won't have a gate across the front, but there's a building of, how high is that building in front of that?
It's at least 35 feet.
Okay, yeah, so you're not going to see it from Bennett Road,
No, it's about
500, 600,
yeah.
1,000 feet into the
Yeah,
site?
it's
Okay,
pretty far into the site.
that's all I have for the site engineer.
Yeah, Mr. Murphy, 2 things to clarify that you just went over. With
Yes,
the
sir.
wa- The reports from Shade Tree, they requested 2 native trees be, so that's agreeable?
Yes.
Okay, with the environmental, you just kind of brushed through that. What is this 2-species habitat, just?
So it's a rank 2. So
Okay.
rank 1 and rank 2, they have ranks in the DEP for different habitat. Rank 2 just means that there's habitat, which means there's trees. And some underbrush and that kind of things. If there's looking on the DEP website, there's no threatened endangered species in this area. It's just that this entire area is colored the same rank 2 color. So that's all it is.
Okay.
Doesn't really do anything.
It does say that with this letter went out, they did request to meet with you guys.
Mhm.
Was that ever, did
No.
you verbally talk to them about it or anything?
No, we're waiting for, see how the meeting went before we set up a meeting.
Okay. I mean, normally, I take a lot of, with their reports.
Sure.
It really makes me feel better if they want to go over something with you, with the application. It makes me feel better to see that you made the effort to meet with them, and then everything gets clarified, and then it makes us feel a little bit better, because I'm not an expert on environmental issues, but I do take their reports seriously. So, right now, how does everybody feel about that? I just want to,
I agree with you. If they request it, sure.
yeah, I mean, everything else that you've been saying tonight, the waivers and everything, I really don't have an issue. It's just when we get into commissions that do a lot of time. So I'd like to still continue with the testimony, but I think we're going to recess before we decide whether we're going to vote on this tonight or not. Okay?
Okay. Are we finished with?
Yeah.
Mr. Murphy?
Actually, I
have questions.
I just wanted to, can you talk a little bit about the impervious coverage? And I don't know, versus what's acceptable?
It's pretty expensive.
Yeah, the planner's going to be discussing the impervious coverage.
So
Okay.
what are the numbers?
Yeah, what are the numbers?
Existing is 6.5%, we're proposing 22.27, and 5 is permitted.
Okay. Thank you.
And then the
no-
building coverage?
Building coverage, 3 is permitted, existing is 3.64, and we're proposing 10.46.
And Christine will address that, you said? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
He has a question, and I have some questions.
Okay.
John?
John?
I got a bunch.
Back-to-back applications with porous pavement. So, same questions we did last time with the maintenance schedule. That's pretty important. We have
Sure.
that.
Yeah, so we have to file an operation and maintenance manual by deed on the property, so even if these guys don't own the property and they leave, the next guy is aware of the maintenance and what has to happen on that, and it's deed restricted, that you can't just pave over it or seal coat over it, and the maintenance is required as well as part of that.
Okay. All right. Just want to get that on record. Thank you.
Sure.
Tom?
Mr. Murphy?
Yes,
I
sir.
have a couple questions that I'd like to clarify. You said Vortex hours were approximately 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and a half a day on Saturday?
No. 7:30 to 5 during the week, and that's it.
No weekends?
No weekends.
Okay, now what about,
The back warehouse building, when that's built, would have potentially those Saturday morning hours.
that's where I was going.
Yeah.
With the rentals that you have for the flex space in the back building, are they going to have different hours?
Yeah, since we don't know who's going to be in there, I would have some Saturday hours for them as well.
And the flex space?
Yes,
And nothing on Sunday?
nothing on Sunday.
Do you propose to put a gate across the place? So for the evenings that no one could get in?
We might have a gate
Sunday?
back where the pavement ends to get into Vortex,
Okay.
right in that location.
What else did I want to ask you? Oh, can you explain this septic system to me? I
Sure.
mean, it's in Phase 2 location, and isn't there one working in your Vortex building right now?
Yes.
So how are you going to connect the whole entire property with one septic system?
The site above it, the warehouse would go by gravity. The 2 buildings up front, if we need to, we would pump them to the location.
And is there going to be separate bathrooms in the other buildings?
Yes.
Not in the Vortex? So
Yes.
everybody will have their own bathrooms, and everything will be connected into one giant system?
That's correct.
Okay, that's good. Oh, the parking spaces, you said on the way in that they were 25 feet long
On the right side, yes.
on the right side.
Yep.
Now, did you make them a little wider with the width? Because you said they were all trucks coming in.
Box trucks and vans.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
what do
those
they
kind of things.
require?
They're the same as a vehicle, so.
Same?
Yeah,
Not any bigger?
no.
Okay.
They're all made to fit in a typical lane.
And you said you had handicap parking,
Yes,
and I know you have a lot more parking than you required.
yes.
Is there a ratio you have to follow as far as how many handicap based on how many parking spaces?
Yeah, it's all based off the number of parking stalls they have on site, and
All
we
right,
comply.
And that's what you're meeting?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
Nick, didn't you have a?
The storage area, what is that going to be used for again? And is it totally open, or is it?
Yes, it's totally open.
Totally open?
Yeah,
So what's,
typically it's piping for the most part, you know, that are going to be stored and then brought out to sites.
okay, you say typically, but sort of could be other things. So
Well,
what are the possibilities?
There'll be sand and gravel stored there in the bins. There's, you know, typical construction material, you know, maybe some inlets and castings, those kind of things, manholes and castings.
So nothing that, really no fire load on, there's no fire load with
No.
any of that material?
No, it's concrete.
Because I kind of noticed you, on the circulation map, I don't know if you wanted to bring it up, but it looks like you can't get behind, on the opposite side, on the back side of the storage area.
No,
You can't get onto the back side.
no. No. Yeah, there's nothing to really burn, so to speak.
Right. And just, as far as just a little clarity about, just from Ms. Beam's report, with the flex spaces, it says all loading and unloading shall take place at the loading docks will be located at the rear of the building.
Yeah, that's the requirement for loading areas.
Right, so we're going on the assumption, because this is not a permitted use, but we're going on the assumption of conditional use.
Yeah, so we don't have loading docks. We're not that kind of facility, so we have basically the roll-up doors so they can unload inside the building. They can drive right
Okay.
into the building.
And that's in the yellow marked areas, where the roll-up doors would be?
No, there's wider areas and that goes directly through. So each unit has, yeah,
The yellow marked areas?
On either
No.
side of the yellow.
yeah, on each side of the yellow mark, yeah.
And just one more time, the parking spaces on both sides are 25 feet.
These are 25, and this goes out to 28.
28
Just
and
because I don't want a 25-foot truck hanging into over the walkway. So we gave them the little.
I just needed
extra
clarity because Mr. Ryan had asked. He said 25, 25, and 30 would be 80 feet, so it's 83.
Correct.
So then so right now, there's a property next door that there's a lot of trucks parked on. There's
Yes.
a driveway of sorts right off of the existing. So that's going to be all gone at this point in terms of in terms of that driveway there?
Yeah, we have to restore all this buffer.
Okay. So that property next to it is not yours?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else from the board?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Jen.
you want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just a quick question before I forget about it. So the PORS payment, so I think it's an important distinction. It's only in the parking stalls, right? The drive
Correct.
aisle into the site all the way going back, that's going to be paved, not PORS payment, correct?
Regular pavement on those drive aisles.
And the way that that's all graded is if there was an issue with the PORS payment not being maintained, there's still inlets in the parking area to capture that runoff, so it's not just flowing onto the neighbor's
That's
property?
correct.
Okay.
There was another section over by I believe by the Vortex building, where there was also porous, I think it's a porous concrete.
Yep, phase 2 porous concrete
Yeah.
pads.
Yes. So same thing, that's going to be installed with Phase 1, and that's, works in conjunction with the basin in the back, right?
That's correct.
All right. And then the next question, I just want to make sure I didn't hear that incorrectly. So the warehouse shop wet out, is that intended only as an accessory to the Vortex, or is there like some outside tenant that could also use that space?
We'd rather keep the flexibility of that, so, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, so keep that as a warehouse space or shop.
One user, though.
One user, yes.
In conjunction with whoever's using the main building here, right? It's not going to be a separate flex unit?
Could be, right?
The Phase 4 building?
Yes.
No, that's the wet out building.
Right.
Well, it
It's-
says
But isn't the
also- it
purpose of the
says
wet out building for
warehouse
Vortex?
slash shop slash wet out.
You answered previously that it's just Vortex.
Right, that's what I heard, yeah.
That's who's going to be using it, but I don't think we'd want to restrict that because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. So we'd rather have that as a warehouse, possibly warehouse use.
That's a different thing.
That's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, I think you should
Restricted to that?
focus on what you know, and then if you get something in the future, something happens, you come
We
back.
come back.
It'll be Vortex, that user, the same user for both.
So, and then just want to clarify with the septic, Mr. O'Donnell touched on that. So the existing septic that's there, it's a representation that it's adequately sized for the Phase 1 and the expansion,
For Phase 1, yes.
correct? And then,
Only.
so for Phase 2, it'll be expanded to accommodate the flex space and whatever bathroom facilities may be in that supplemental wet-out building, correct?
Yeah, Phase 2, the septic will be sized for the entire site.
Gotcha.
That phase.
So they're not coming back and expanding the field
No,
again? Okay.
no, do it once.
All right, and then the last thing, I apologize, because I don't know if the fire official knew there was going to be the gate there at the transition, it just has to have a
We'll
Knox
provide a
box.
Knox
Yep.
box for the fire company.
So one of the things, and Sal, I don't expect an answer from you currently, but you are way over on both impervious and building coverage. But leave the building coverage as an aside, you're way over on the impervious coverage, like 3 acres over what we permit. And you're like almost triple the number of parking spaces that we require. So I'm going to request that you take a look at that and cut some of those parking spaces down and get that coverage back to a reasonable number.
Okay, we'll have to look at that.
Okay.
Just a question for Charlie. Anything that has to do with the Department of Health, they kind of go in and say like anything with septic, anything with all that stuff, they wind up approving that.
Correct. So when the septic system that's there, it was designed, and the Board of Health approval should say it's for this many employees on-site permanently, for this many temporary employees that come in the morning to pick up trucks and things like that, right? They're going to have to approve that Phase 1 can be accommodated with what's there right now. When they go to do the expansion for Phase 2 and then for the wet-out building, they're going to have to provide calculations for like office space within the flex space, how much warehouse, how much office and warehouse is in the back building, and then they go into the sewer regs, and it tells you this much gross flow area, here's how much flow is associated with that, and they do a calculation. The applicant's going to have to provide that for Board of Health. If it's under 2,000 gallons a day collectively for the site, then it would be something that still falls under an individual subsurface septic system. If it's over 2,000 gallons a day, then they'd have to go to DEP for treatment works approval. They can still put a septic system on the site. It's basically a supercharged septic system that costs a lot more money. So that's why Board of Health put that requirement in their
That's like what
review.
we had for the school, right?
Yeah, there was the school off of Kent Road, same thing, yeah. And they basically want you to send it to DEP with the calculation and DEP to confirm that, to verify that it's under 2,000 gallons a day, because it's a significant difference in the septic system design.
Yeah, we're comfortable with the under 2,000 because the uses, there isn't a lot of office space, so there isn't a lot of employees. We don't want to go through that TWA process.
Okay, if there's nothing else. You want to call your next witness?
We'd like to bring the architect up.
Sure.
If we get through architecture and maybe traffic, and then
Yeah.
to see how you want to go from there.
Sounds good to me.
Mike, you've been sworn in. Would you place your credentials on the record, please?
Sure. Again, my name is Michael Testa, T-E-S-T-A. I'm a registered architect in the state of New Jersey since 1996 in good standing. Principal of architectural firm, Michael B. Testa Architect in Alvin, testified through many municipalities throughout the state.
Thank you. We'll accept your qualifications.
Thank you very much.
And Mike, you submitted elevations,
Yes,
both black and white and color?
yes, there are color elevations.
All right, you want to run through, you want to start with the front flex buildings? Is that what those depict?
Yeah, we can go back to the black and white page, PB1, right there. So this is the 16,000 square foot flex building. The building is subdivided in this image into 4 tenant spaces, approximately 4,000 square feet each. We have an office space designated there, which will be under 20% of the tenant area. Typically, we do these buildings for the uses that we indicated earlier, electricians, plumbers, HVAC contractors. The individual tenant would typically drive their work vehicle in, sometimes unload, keep storage inside the space, and then have a small office with a bathroom for each one of the tenant spaces. Most of the access is through the bottom of the page, which is the east elevation. And at the top of the page, you see man doors going out the rear, which are primarily for egress purposes. The building will be a non-combustible building, not sprinklered. We do have the building will be constructed, these 2 buildings will be constructed out of a cast-in-place concrete panel with a steel roof. The concrete panels on the exterior, we just scroll down a little bit, please. You can see the articulation of the facade with the comments of Ms. Bean. We brought in different materials. We have painted concrete panels. We have some cultured stone, basically jogging up and down to break the facade up vertically, and with clear story windows above the overhead doors. We have storefronts for each one of the tenants going into the tenant space to allow natural light into the space. And there are large overhead doors that you see there. They're 12 feet wide by 14 feet tall to allow for vans and box trucks to pull in and out. We have signage indicated on the building, which will be in conformance with the signage ordinance, and canopies over the storefronts to basically give it some additional shade and shadow and some protection from water when the doors open and close. All 4 facades are equally treated with the different types of building materials. The roof will be a flat roof sloping to one side of the building, which will be collected and tied into the underground storm system, and it'll be coordinated with Mr. Murphy's drawings. That's buildings 1 and 2. We have a building at the rear, which will be the next page. This is the 20,000 square foot warehouse / storage / wet out building. The building, as you can see on the left side and right side, we have large overhead doors as well for the vehicles to drive in and out, to be used very similar to the existing Vortex building. We have 2 sets of entrance doors at the bottom of the page for entry, and around the perimeter, left, right, and rear, we have man doors for egress purposes. In the top right-hand corner, we have a utility closet, or utility room, and we've basically anticipating a BDA. That is for fire communication services. When you start to get larger buildings in a more rural area, the signal might be sparse, and a special signaling system has to be installed. So we preempt that when we design it to have a space so that way when they come through for the final testing for the fire department, if it is needed, it's constructed and it's not an interruption to the whole process. If it isn't needed, then it's just basically a closet for the tenant space. Again, these buildings will not be sprinklered. They're under the square footage area for sprinkling. And we are assuming this to be either a non-combustible building or a heavy timber type construction. It's going to be a sloping with a ridge. The ridge on this building is 28 feet 6.5 inches, high point. The high point, or the top of parapet for buildings 1 and 2 was 32 feet. So we stayed within the required height limit. And again, this will be used as a continuance of the existing occupancy in the other building as far as wet out, storage materials, which you pretty much see in the existing building right now. The building will consist of corrugated metal panels, entrance canopies, a cultured stone base, and it began it being earth tones to blend in with the natural environment surrounding it. This building is located at the rearest most point on the site and the least visual of all the buildings.
So we require all 4 facades of all the buildings on site, regardless of where they're located, to have the same treatment. So, you know, there needs to be more vertical breaks in this building on all the facades.
So, and just as a follow-up, so there's a little bit of a conflict, because I know Mr. Murphy said that we're going to comply with all the requirements or recommendations in the Fire Bureau's memo, and one of his recommendations are that all buildings need to be fire suppressed, and you're saying that the buildings per building code don't need to be fire suppressed. So has anyone met with the fire official to discuss that discrepancy?
Well, the building code stipulates whether the buildings need to be suppressed or not. The buildings
The
are not...
question was, did you meet with the fire official?
No, I did not meet with the fire official.
Yeah.
I didn't see it necessary. We
I
went
mean,
through the
I will
building
say
code.
that everyone that comes to this board, there's an expectation that they meet with both the Environmental Commission and the fire department before they come in.
Okay.
So I have to tell you, I can't see this board granting a use variance for this project when the fire department wants the building sprinkled.
Yeah, and I don't want to put words in the fire official's mouth, but had the building had circulation around all sides of it with a paved accessway or grass pavers or something like that, maybe that recommendation would have been different if it wasn't directed by fire code. But I know that's one of the things that the fire official can waive for not having 360-degree access is if the building is fire suppressed. So that's something that needs to be clarified and worked out, I think, for the board's consideration of this.
Okay, we will meet with the fire marshal and coordinate that to have that in if it's required. And Ms. Beam, we will work to address the facades, all 4 facades.
I have no doubt,
You
you
know.
do great work. I have no doubt that we can come up with a plan that will meet with the intention of the ordinance.
Thank you.
Doesn't require the bump outs, Mike, it just requires some kind of vertical break.
Some kind of treatments, right?
Whether it's color, texture, something. Then there's little score lines, like I can see them on paper, but when I'm in real life, you can't really see them. It needs to be something a little bit more pronounced.
Gotcha, understood. Understood. And then we have the existing building, the reconstruction of the existing building. If you could see, scroll down to PB4, please. You can see the odd shape of the building. That is the actual footprint of the building. I field measured this area myself with one of my staff members. We're basically reconstructing the building on the existing foundations. The concrete slab is in very poor condition, I guess, for being exposed to the elements for a period of time, so we'll be pouring a new concrete slab in there. But this will just be, again, a continuation of the existing adjacent use. To the right side, you see a large overhead door where they'll be bringing vehicles in with a man door. They'll be storing materials in here, and I guess a continuance of the wet process that they do in the building adjacent to this space. So again, this is an existing area on the site that we measured, and we're just going to reconstruct walls on top of it and tie it in for drainage. And again, we will work with the fire department as far as fire suppression for this building as well. The existing building is occupied, it is not sprinklered, but under a reconstruction for the building code, I'm assuming he's going to want this as well. So we'll address that with the fire marshal.
I think you just need to meet the fire official. This building's different because it does have that 360-degree circulation around it, but the wet out space and then the 2 flex, it's just a drive aisle, and there's just grass or gravel around the perimeter, and it's not, 30-foot circulation, so.
We have no issue with that. That's not a problem. We will meet with him and we will resolve that issue.
And again, we're going to be looking for something more on the architecture on this building, too.
Okay. Now, Ms. Beam, are you talking for just the reconstruction of this building, or are you talking the entire building? Jen?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. With the enhancements of the architectural features, are you talking just about the reconstructed portion of this building or the entire building?
Unfortunately, we require all 4 facades to have the treatment, so we can be flexible on how we get to that point, but it is going to have to be all 4 sides.
Okay, thank you. And that would conclude my testimony, so.
Okay, you guys are good. Board members, any questions before we go to the next?
got a question. So the flex space, if a tenant took 2 spaces or even took the whole building, within the building, can they transverse from, we'll call it from space to space? Can they just, within the building, go, if it was one tenant?
Correct. There might not even be demising walls between the tenants. If somebody comes in before we construct it, or even after they construct it, they could take down one of those demising walls and take 2 spaces, take 3 spaces. So the flexibility is there for them to expand or contract their business over time.
Okay, so it's not, okay. But you're just putting it as,
We're just
as
showing you what,
4.
the maximum occupants in the building, and show you, a logical setup of how that building could be broken up. Or it could be one building, but it's easier for you, I think, the board members to see it if it was.
Don't we have
broken up.
limitations on that? 7,500, I thought, am I wrong?
Yeah, so
Flat space?
where it is a conditional use, there are restrictions on like minimum like loading requirements per each space and like maximum size of the building. I guess is it the applicant's representation, Sal, is they can carve it up or they want to reserve the right to have one tenant in each building or to have one tenant occupy both buildings?
We don't know the answer to that. We do, when you look at the flex space conditional use standards, for example, they can't exceed a 45,000 square feet in the building area, which our buildings don't equal at combined.
But it says 60% too.
Or 60%.
So I would suggest that you seek the relief from that requirement, because in the event that you do have a single tenant in each of those buildings, you wouldn't have to come back to secure that tenant.
Correct. And then the loading docks we talked about, there are no
Yep.
loading docks, so that section doesn't apply.
So, and this, Sal might be jumping ahead to Mr. Ray, but the site doesn't look like it has any spaces or availability for parking of tractor trailers, right? So we're envisioning box truck type vehicles or smaller for the flex space generally? Okay.
Mr. Testa, on those separating walls in the flex space, what type of construction are those?
A light gauge metal framing, so metal studs.
So they can very easily be moved, taken down?
They can be moved, taken
Expanded.
down, opened up, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And they're floor to ceiling.
The demising ones would be, the office space would probably stop short of that. And again, we're going to have clear story windows around the perimeter, allow a lot of natural light in from the 4 walls as well.
Will the emergency exits have step-outs, since the rear is not paved?
No, there's going to be at least a concrete pad outside
A
the door.
concrete pad, step-out, yeah.
Yes.
Everybody good? Okay, go ahead, Glenn.
Question for Ms. Beam. Flex space as opposed to warehouse, does our ordinance prohibit distribution or define distribution?
There are there are 8 conditions associated with flex that would not be applicable to warehouse. It doesn't talk about distribution, but it limits the size of the building and the height of the building, which would, the maximum height, and I think, Mr. Testa, you did testify that it would comply with the 32-foot height, correct?
Yes, ma'am, yes.
So the warehouse buildings that are going up now are, 48, 49, 50 plus, so the size of the building and the height of the building, and even the design, the way that he's designed it, I don't think it would lend itself to a traditional warehouse building, correct?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when we get to planning eventually, we're not going to have a distribution use. There's a whole list of SED uses, SED1 uses that we'll discuss, and many of them we're going to exclude because they just won't fit on a site such as this.
Thank you.
Okay, Sal, do you want to get Mr. Ray up?
If
so
you
we
can, please,
yeah.
yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
This is currently zoned as ARE 6, correct?
John, you've been sworn in already, and I know you've testified before 5,000 boards in the past, but can you just briefly put your credentials on record, please?
John Ray, REA, a principal with McDonough and Ray Associates, a traffic engineering firm, 1431 Lakewood Road, Manasquan, New Jersey. I'm a licensed professional engineer, 50 years experience in the traffic
Thank you,
engineering
Mr.
field.
Ray. We accept your
And
qualifications.
I've been here before.
And John, you prepared a traffic impact analysis. Would you summarize
I
the
did.
findings, please?
Yes. We prepared a traffic impact analysis, last revised March 4th, 2026. And essentially, what we did was prepared a full traffic impact analysis. We conducted peak hour traffic counts at the intersection of Bennett Road and Fairfield Road, which is just to the east of the subject property. From that traffic volume data, we were able to obtain the peak hour traffic volumes passing the site frontage on Bennett Road, and also the turning movements at the intersection of Bennett and Fairfield. We prepared estimates of traffic to be generated by the various buildings on the site based upon Institute of Transportation Engineers data, and I'm going to circle back to that again after I get done with my testimony, because there was a comment in Mr. Cunliffe's report regarding the traffic generation estimates that I used. But we prepared estimates of traffic generation for the different buildings. We projected traffic volumes to a design year of 2028 after reviewing the NJDOT's background traffic growth rate data for the area, but we expanded that as well. The DOT basically projects that the local roads in the area will experience 1% per year background traffic growth for the near-term future, but because of the warehouse development along Fairfield Road, north of Bennett Road, that we're familiar with, we expanded the traffic volumes by 20% in order to assume a worst-case scenario. We conducted level of service capacity analyses, which I know the board has heard testimony, I believe anyway, from traffic engineers. The exiting movements from the site to Bennett Road will do so at level of service A during the morning and afternoon peak hours, and all of the movements at the Bennett Road, Fairfield Road intersection will operate at level of service C or better for the 2028 design year. I mentioned a comment in Mr. Cunliffe's review letter. When we did our traffic generation estimates for the two flex buildings, we broke it down into warehouse space and office space, and that's how we did our traffic generation estimates. There's another way to do it, which is using the specialty contractor land use code that's in the ITE trip generation manual. Mr. Cunliffe properly pointed that out because I think we are looking for contractors to go into those two flex buildings. And I can tell you that if we use the contractor land use code, we would generate an additional 26 trips during the morning peak hour and an additional 23 trips during the afternoon peak hour. So it would be a little bit higher in terms of traffic generation. However, it would not result in deficient levels of service. They would still be well within accepted traffic engineering parameters for the site driveway to Bennett Road and for the off-site intersection of Bennett and Fairfield. So at the end of the day, with respect to the variances we're looking for, it's my opinion that the board can grant the variances that are necessary without having an adverse or detrimental traffic impact on the intersections or the site driveway, as they will both continue to operate well within accepted traffic engineering parameters.
And if Mr. Cunliffe wants a revised report to evidence what you just described, you'll be glad to do that?
Yes.
So we have Mr. Ray.
Okay, Charlie?
So John, the site driveway, you're saying using office and warehouses at level of service A under the built condition. When you apply the specialty contractor, what does that go to?
It's possible. I haven't run the level of service yet, Mr. Cunliffe, but it might go from an A to a B because the threshold from A to B is 10 seconds of delay. And I just looked at the traffic report, and we've got 9.5 seconds of delay during the afternoon peak hour. It's possible that may creep over 10 seconds and go into the B category. But again, we're only talking about an additional less than 1 second of additional delay. So the A to B threshold is really going from 9.5 to 10.2 seconds is kind of meaningless. Okay. But it might go into the level of service B category.
Okay, and then over at the intersection of Bennett Road and Fairfield Road, the build condition using the office and warehouse, I think, had a slight degradation of a couple of the level of service turning movements from like a B to a C.
Correct.
What do you anticipate with this specialty contractor to go to?
I do not think it will degrade past level of service C because at that intersection, the longest delay that we had for one of the approaches was, I think, 19 seconds and change, Anything less than 25 seconds is still a C. I don't think we're going to push the delay up by an additional 5 seconds. So it still should remain at level of service C.
Okay. And then I think there's a note on the plan that exiting the site, no right turns to go west onto Bennett's Road?
For trucks, there's an existing truck restriction because there are some homes to the west down toward Vanderveer, and there's an existing truck restriction that we will abide by. All the trucks will go to the east and go through the Fairfield Road intersection.
So, and is that why there was no analysis of that intersection of Vanderveer and Bennett's Mills done?
Well, that was one of the
Bennett Road.
reasons, because all trucks will go in the, we do anticipate that some of the passenger vehicle traffic will come from the west through Vanderveer and Bennett Road, but it won't be significant enough. Looking at the volumes that are coming on Bennett Road from Vanderveer, it won't be significant enough to create any kind of issues.
So the no right turn for trucks exiting a site, what's the cutoff for what size of vehicle? And the reason I ask is just because there's the Flex, and then you also have the Vortex.
Right.
And Vortex might have a contractor's truck. Is that classified as a truck no right turn?
I think anything that's an SU-30, which is a single-unit truck or larger, would be the trucks that would be restricted.
So-
I know there are some tractor trailers that go into the Vortex site. Clearly, they would be restricted. And I think any box trucks that are typical of a SU-30, which is a 30-foot wheelbase design vehicle, would be restricted from using the section of Bennett Road to the west.
All right, so like a contractor's truck for a Flex contractor, or even for Vortex, or like A.J. Perry size, like fleet van, those would still be able to make a right turn to go to Vanderveer? That wouldn't fall under that classification?
That would be my recommendation. I mean, those types of trucks are not, they're vans typical of what contractors use. They're not heavy-duty trucks.
Okay. Sorry, I just want to make sure. And then, so, and I think going back to Jen's comment about the impervious coverage, I know we have parking requirements in Howell Township, and then the IT also has some parking generation recommendations. Can you provide some testimony as why we need so much parking on the site for the flex space?
Well, I think the client wanted some flexibility with respect to attracting tenants, and providing more parking would provide that flexibility. I think Mr. Murphy indicated we're going to take a look at that. We know we have an impervious coverage issue, and we're going to take a look at that. And it's my expectation we will eliminate some of those parking spaces or bank them or do something to satisfy that concern.
But they're not, that number wasn't driven by an ITE standard?
No. And I'll look at the IT standard before Mr. Murphy, makes any revisions to the plan and makes any adjustments to the parking supply.
I think that's all I have, Mr. Ray, from traffic perspective.
Matt, did you have something?
No, she sneezed, I said bless you.
Oh.
I didn't even hear it.
I kept it very quiet.
Yes.
But thank you.
Thank you.
10 o'clock, I needed that.
Brian, or me and Mike.
Yes, John.
Mr. Ray, so regarding, we talked about no right turns leaving the property. How about a left turn entering the property? Are there any restrictions there?
There's no posted restriction. I don't know if there's anything at the intersection of Vanderveer and Bennett that would restrict trucks from entering Bennett from Vanderveer. My recommendation would be that there probably should be a sign at the intersection of Vanderveer and Bennett restricting trucks from turning onto Bennett.
Right, because
That would be the way to handle that.
Yeah, if you have trucks coming from the west,
They wouldn't know about the restriction until they got to the driveway.
yeah, and it would just be easier for them to come down Vanderveer as opposed to going down to Fairfield, so we could run into that issue.
I don't know if the town council would have to pass an ordinance restricting, but I think they probably would, but we would be fine with, if the town council decided to restrict that section of Bennett from Vanderveer through ordinance and post the signs, we would have no issue.
Yes, So, Mr. Ray's correct, the town would have to pass an ordinance restricting weight vehicles over a certain tonnage. The challenging part is that there's a catch-all with that, or an exception, except local deliveries, right? So if you have a site that's on that, right, you're allowed to have vehicles over that weight restriction come to your site. So I get the intent of it, but it becomes hard to enforce for the township's perspective. They could cut the pass-through vehicles from doing that, but the applicant would still have the right. So really, you would need a commitment from the operator that, like, they're gonna direct their vehicles and, you know, tenants of these flex spaces, that they're only gonna come from Bennett Mills Road from Bennett Road and Fairfield Road if we want to have something to be able to enforce from a township's perspective.
And we could, if this is approved, we could put a condition in all of our leases that would prohibit that traffic movement.
Okay, but there's nothing in your analysis that included that traffic coming from the west entering the property?
Yes, that was included, that those traffic volumes were counted.
They were?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so traffic
They
coming...
were relatively minimal. More traffic was coming from Fairfield. I could, give you some numbers, the existing volumes. For the morning peak hour, there were 45 movements heading to the east, 29 going to the west. That was the morning peak hour. Afternoon peak hour, 34 coming from the west, 46 heading toward the west. So overall, less than 100 total two-way trips on Bennett Road, west of the site driveway.
That was probably
And what's the time period there?
The morning peak hour, we did the counts between 7 and 9:30 in the morning and 3:30 and 6 in the afternoon.
So about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and the actual peak hours, I can tell you when they occurred. I just have to get to the sheets in the back. The morning peak hour occurred between 7:30 and 8:30, the afternoon peak hour between 4:30 and 5:30.
Okay, so about an hour then, okay.
Yeah, well, we do the traffic analysis based on the highest one-hour flow of traffic during the morning and afternoon in order to ensure a worst-case scenario, and we assume that our peak hour traffic coincides with the peak hours on the street.
Right, okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Ray.
Anybody else? Okay, Sal, seeing the time, will everybody be able to come back when we carry?
Yeah, and I think there's one person from the public. Could we?
Yeah, I was going to get to him.
Yeah, and then we just have to pick a date that we have enough time.
So what we're looking at, maybe getting, if anybody from the public wants to question.
Right.
Okay, let's do that then. Well, we're going to, is anybody here in the public that would like to question any, okay. Okay, we'll have to have, yeah, just for questions of the witnesses that have testified.
I'll second, but yeah, it can't be anything on the planner.
Yeah.
Planners haven't testified yet.
Okay,
You're going to carry it to another date?
yes.
Yeah, as long as you can be helping out.
Okay, so you want to, we'll give you you'll know the information on the date that we carry right now.
Yeah.
And then you can, okay.
I just have one conflict, but we'll see what date you come up with.
Okay, because we would only need you to come up for questioning these witnesses. He said he would come back. Yeah. Okay, let's
Do you want to speak now?
Do you want to speak now?
Yeah, because if they have questions of the architect, well, we may or may not have to bring the architect back, but.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is
John
if
Ray
you
may
want
not
to
have to
ask
come
a
back.
question of the people, the experts, the architect or the traffic engineer.
And Mr. Murphy will definitely come back, because
Yeah.
there's going to be some planned discussions.
I think I would only ask a few questions of the traffic.
Okay. Okay, we'll have to, okay, let's,
Yeah,
yeah.
Let's do it now.
Motion to open up to public.
Nick,
Who's making?
Nick and Glenn.
Nick and Glenn.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm still under oath, Mr. Warren.
No, it's a different application.
Different application.
Do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but?
I do.
Say your name for the record.
Perry Mastrola, 250 Bennett Road, adjacent, a neighbor to this property. They didn't do a good job of making the map. They don't even show me. They took me out. I'm on there, right there.
What side are you?
I'm right there,
Yep.
You the corner?
that nice rural piece of property. So my question for the traffic is, do you know that there's dump trucks that are constantly running down this road right now? You've seen them, I guess you had a
Construction
count.
on Fairfield Road, sure.
Not construction, I mean a working dirt mine.
They were counted.
You counted those
Yes.
trucks that come every 5 minutes, back and forth.
Whenever they came, we classify the counts by number of cars, number of trucks, school buses, so everything was classified.
What is the load range of this road? What's the weight limit of this road?
That's not anything a traffic engineer would be
Well,
aware
you
of.
should know if you can run trucks on there, right?
If trucks are running on it right now, and they're not prohibited from running on it, that's a township concern.
It's a 4-ton road, but
I'm not sure it
Is-
might be,
now, I haven't heard anybody say anything about
if it's a
semi-trucks.
4-ton road, it's got to be enforced.
It's 4 tons, yeah. So, but you're going to have trucks that are heavier than that, right?
And they're not going to turn right, they're going to be going down to Fairfield.
Yeah, they're going to left right in front of my house, right? They made it sound like there's only residents on this side, but there's residents on the other side.
Correct.
Okay, well, they didn't bring that up. I didn't hear it.
Oh, you just did.
Well, that's your job too, right? So, your driveway, Bennett Road is not a wide road. Anybody drive on Bennett?
Yeah.
It's not wide. I want to know how they're going to turn a tractor trailer out of this driveway and not rip up the road, and actually then turn onto Fairfield, which most tractor trailers can't make the turn. So, explain that
Well,
to me.
it's my understanding that tractor trailers are already going into and out of the Vortex site, so they're there. It's happening today.
Right, and I watched them try to make the turn on Fairfield. They can't make it. They have to cut across to the opposite lane to make the turn. So it's not really conducive to truck traffic. There's no light there. There's nothing that makes it good for trucks.
Well, the only thing I would point out is that the additional buildings that are being constructed are not going to generate tractor-trailer traffic. They're going to be contractor-type trucks and everything. So whatever is there now in terms of tractor-trailers will continue to be there, but there won't be any more.
Yeah, I keep hearing that contractor, electrical contractor. I was an electrical contractor. I could not afford to rent one of those buildings. That's not what's going to go in there. You're not going to get electrical contractor or plumbers. They're going to be some type of warehousing, some type of trucks that are bigger, like box trucks, longer straight jobs, and tractor trailers. Now, I know you don't have loading docks.
Tractor-trailers. It's not, the site's not designed for tractor-trailers.
I know, but what happens, it's all creeping. Later on, you'll come in with an application to put dock doors in here. That's what happens. So you have to take that into account when you do your traffic. We'll keep it with the traffic.
If we ever came back for that type of use, we'd have to take into account tractor trailer. There's not enough room for a tractor trailer to turn.
So you'll keep coming back and expanding the non-conforming use that we have now.
I can't tell you, all we're here is for what you heard today.
Well, if
No,
they
I
come
bought my
back, we
house-
have to approve it, so.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
getting as many
I
questions
get
as
what
I
you
can
mean.
without holding you guys up.
Yeah.
Because, I abided by everything I had to do when I built my house on that piece of property, all the setbacks, all the buffers, wetlands, everything. So I would expect that with this traffic, you would do the same. They made sure my driveway was wide enough for me to turn out of and all that, but here, you're not that concerned about making these turns apparently, and the traffic that it's going to generate. Because right now, it's just a Vortec company with some trucks leave in the morning, I see them, and trucks come in the afternoon, but now it'll be all-day use. There's going to be people in and out of this thing all day. So,
But we've addressed, you said there's no concern about it. We feel we have addressed it. The driveway's adequate, and there are no new tractor trailer uses.
right, so when my grandchildren are playing in the front of the house, they shouldn't worry about getting run over. All right, that's all I had.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
And if you're going to push this, just please have some courtesy. I don't know how long you're going to push it to. Do you have an idea when the date?
Well, we're gonna-
get a
we're
date
gonna-
tonight. You're going to get a date.
We're going to
tonight.
decide it tonight.
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have my daughter is getting married on the 23rd in Florida.
Congratulations.
They have to have some meetings, so they need
Yeah,
to give them a little time to have
I
those
carry
meetings.
it.
How dare she?
Mr. Chair, I
Yeah.
do have a question. Did we discuss, the increased intensity of Vortex? We are adding 7,500 square feet to it, right? So, and then there's going to be a warehouse associated with it, so there is going to be a bump up in activity for Vortex, correct?
I think Mr. Murphy indicated after discussing that with the Vortex people that that building in the back, there wasn't going to be an increase in the number of employees, or if there was, it was going to be minimal.
But we'll make sure we.
We'll make sure we address that at the next.
Not just employees, I'm talking commercial traffic, there are trucks coming in. I mean, seems logical that there would be.
There might be a minimal income, but the activities that are going to take place in that building are already, occurring on the site.
But we'll.
Yeah, but at its current size, but when the building gets 7,500 square feet larger, and there's an associated warehouse, there's going to be a raise in intensity.
There might be.
I would think so.
It might be that, or it might just be that the site is operating more efficiently than it currently is. So I think that probably just needs some clarification, Sal, on whether it's increasing the use itself, or it's just similar to other applications that we've seen here where it's just a more efficient layout, which gets their operations done more efficiently without an increase in deliveries and things like that. But
Right.
they have to provide that to us.
And we have representatives here tonight who can answer that, but I know that it's getting late, so to the next meeting.
And Sal, just one follow-up for John. So when we talked about the contractor's land use designation for the additional trips, was that just for the flex space, or did you also factor that into the wet shop and then for Vortex?
No, just the flex buildings, because they, as you saw Mr. Testa's, renderings and the floor plans and everything, they probably will be used for contractors. The building in the back is going to be a Vortex supplement, if you
Okay.
will. So it won't be contractors.
Yeah, so I think that distinction supports the fact that like the wet shop, wet out, needs to be part of Vortex and not part of any future flex, because then trips might be something more than what we're hearing right now, so.
Correct.
Good point there. Glad you brought that up.
Sal, one question for next time. We had brought up earlier tonight byproduct from the wet out. Is there going to be an expert to talk about?
So one of the
Yes.
reps would, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Sal, if there's nothing else at this time, first of all, did we officially close the public?
I'll make
Yeah.
a motion to close public.
Yeah. Second, Anne Marie, you got that, Lisa? Okay. Okay, what date are you looking at?
What do you have, what's the next available date, Lisa?
What has yours?
Yeah, but that's okay. This will go ahead of it.
Okay.
Nothing on what do you have on the 14th of September?
The 14th, there's one extension of time and 3 cases.
3 cases already, okay.
Yeah.
So September 28th? Yes, that's, the only thing on is the one we carried.
Yes.
So we'll finish this first.
28th is very.
Okay, so you'll finish it?
I like those nights. So, Mr. Chair, we'll announce, if you would, the carrying of this application to the 28th without the need for further notice.
And we will need an extension of time on this.
And we'll do the same October
October
31st, and I'll follow it up
okay.
with a letter.
Okay, case number BA 14-09A3 will be carried to September 28th with a new extension time of October 31st. Do we notice? We don't have to notice it then?
Please,
Okay.
correct.
Okay, no notice. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you,
And
Sal.
we'll meet with fire and
And environmental, thank
Yes.
you, I appreciate that.
Thanks, good night, everyone.
Okay, good night.
Night, Sal.
Is there any other further business of the board?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Cantor, second by Mr. Hughes, all in favor?
Aye.